place to go.
Such a tough place to go.
It's a tough place to go at the moment.
It was a really difficult place to go, always.
But what are the toughest places to go, really? We've scoured the planet to find out. Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try playing in a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle at the world's northernmost professional club. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the 97-98 Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for it. We're staying in Scandinavia for Scotland's toughest away day on a windswept cliff in the Faroe Islands. It's scenes and still one of Scotland's most embarrassing results.
Daft little ground, silly game.
But away trips don't come any tougher than a lung-busting schlep up the Andes to face Bolivia in La Paz. But now the Bolivians have taken home advantage to another level. The country's highest city, El Alto, 4,100 metres above sea level. Grass doesn't even grow up here. Bolivia have not lost here yet. The longest unbeaten run in any professional league ever belongs to Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda if you must. They've gone 7 years without defeat at the Rajko Mitic in Serbia's Superliga. Their fans are pretty intimidating as well, but they're not as loud as this mob. Galatasaray's Ali Sami Yen Stadium's officially the loudest in world football. In a derby with Fenerbahce, Galatasaray fans set a Guinness World Record of 131 decibels. That's louder than Motorhead, and pretty tough to carry out your manager's instructions when you can't even hear them. However, our most intimidating away day is in Wales, where cameras can't enter and players can't leave. HMP Prescoed. This prison team was briefly kicked out the Gwent League over concerns about young opposition having to go in there. Now that's a tough place to go.
Early June 1939, Germany, always a tough place to go to.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Alex Brooker with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, please tell us, Alex, what's coming up?
Coming up over the next 3 hours, former Spurs and England striker Jermaine Defoe joins us for a chat. We'll also speak to fine cricketers Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings, and we'll wonder at the enduring allure of Manchester United.
We're also after others to join Ant-Man in the Legion of Sporting Heroes, plus your sporty first dates, and we'll check in with the Wrexham fans ahead of the new season.
There's all this, plus boxing commentator Adam Smith's take on Ben Eubank too, and Tim Vickery brings us all the latest from South America.
He sure does. 4 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, Alex. Lovely to see you again.
Good afternoon, Paul. Lovely to be back.
You've got a little run of shows. You're with us for 3 days, then you're with Max on Saturday and Max on Monday, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. You don't want to put people off. If you don't like me, just strap yourselves in for the next,
That's it.
next 5 or 6 days.
We're committed now. We've got 5 days of him. You've been out in Greece, haven't you? You've just got back. But it sounds like you've kind of kept in touch with everything. You've been keeping an eye on the football.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, one of the few things I've got to... I couldn't not watch the Arsenal Spurs friendly.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's...
I bet you wish you had, though, didn't you?
No. It was one of those things where I kind of came away, sat there just at my sunbed, still frustrated at us being able to break a team down.
Yeah.
Martinelli not being able to get past his man. It felt very much like the season had started again.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's far too early. I mean, as I said, you can't read too much into pre-season unless you beat Arsenal as a Tottenham fan, and then of course you do.
Yeah,
but apart from that, you shouldn't read too much into pre-season. Definitely not.
No.
So one of the things we're discussing today, well, actually, we're going to talk about non-league football. I was following the Moose on social media last night, and he was at a very eventful FA Cup preliminary round match between Ashford and Eastbourne, and he was at pains to point out it was the Ashford in Middlesex, which was a disappointment for you because you have memories of for Ashford in Kent.
Yeah, that's where I'm from, Ashford in Kent. So I remember, as they were Ashford Town back in the day, getting to the FA Cup. I think it was like the first round or second round proper, and we played Watford, and half the town travelled to Vicarage Road. But the round before, we played Dagenham. At Homelands and in our ground, and I ended up I met this girl at disco, at the school disco, and we kind of arranged to meet up there. So it was basically like a date.
Where did she think you were taking her? Just for a little spin around Ashford?
I think she thought we were going to go to Ashford Town. I was only like 13 at the time, so I think she thought we'd knock about in the town centre, go to the big sites.
What were some of the delights? I was going to say, what were some of the delights of Ashford Town Centre in your youth?
McDonald's, Woolworths.
Oh, okay. Bit of pick and mix.
Price, yeah.
That would be dessert, wouldn't it? Don't have a McFlurry. Save it, because we'll have a few a bit of pick and mix.
That was the I think that was what she thought we were going to do.
Right.
We actually did go into town as well.
Right.
I think
you know, show a girl a good time.
Genuinely, this is absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
But I bought her a single, a single from our price.
Right.
And it was Backstreet Boys, I'll Never Break Your Heart.
Oh. And then you took her to see Ashford Town.
Yeah.
Within about 20 minutes, you'd done exactly that.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
We never went out again. Never met up in town again.
Did she give this? I'm surprised they let her in with a single.
This is back in the days when these things used to be done via home phone as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like you could get a quick text and get dumped. You just ring the home phone, have the panic of talking to the mum or dad.
Yeah.
To get through, and then,
can you imagine?
And then just go, no, I'm okay, thanks. I don't really want to go to town with you again this week.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Ashford Town ruined what could have been a beautiful relationship, really.
One of many trips after that to Mackey's on my own.
Oh. Well, we're interested in sporting first dates. If you thought that was a good idea as well, maybe they worked out. If you didn't know the other person you were taking was a sports fan. I mean, if you knew they were both into cricket or football or whatever, if you meet a girl or a girl meets a boy and you think, yeah, they're going to love that, be a great first date. But if you're not sure, you took a punt, didn't you? Really, just she wasn't in her Ashford Town shirt when she met you.
We just all wanted to go. It was just one of those things where, like, all my mates were congregating there.
Oh,
it was just such a big thing for the town at the time. My wife, her first ever football match was Arsenal Spurs.
Oh wow!
Yeah, at the Emirates in about 2013.
Did you win?
2014. Yeah, we did. Giroud scored. It was the one where Giroud scored. It was like 1-0.
Right.
But I remember, like, I had to say, so you need to don't stay sat down. You're meant to jump up with everyone else here.
But that was a risk, wasn't it? Because if you'd played badly that day, Arsenal, and Tottenham had won, she would have seen 100%. The very worst of you.
100% would have jinxed
it. That could have been the end of that. So
she desperately did. Basically, one of my mates last minute had pulled out.
Yeah.
He was like, can't go, I'm not very well. And she ended up, I was like, well, do you want to go? Do you want to come with me? I don't really want to go. Do you want to take the ticket?
So if that happened to you, let us know. For example, Andy Jacobs has been married for over 1,000 years, but if he had taken Sue, his wife, to a Chelsea match, and she never would have married him. She would have had him sectioned. So, I mean, I think people have a very different persona at the match. So, whatever the sport was, do let us know. Sporty first dates. And maybe they worked out brilliantly. Ideally, I would imagine, for our purposes. They didn't. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. Or tell us yourself. 03717 223344. We're going to talk about Rangers. Ross McCormick's joining us for a chat in a moment. And, well, it would appear that that Russell Martin lighting a fire under some of his players seems to have worked, Alex, doesn't it? Because you were aware of that, weren't you?
It was. I saw, obviously, the first game of the season, they've dropped points straight away, and in the SPL, it's always with the way Celtic pick up points. It's like straight away you're at
you
a
think
disadvantage.
as the league gone,
and I've had a,
is it all over? Paddy Powell's paying out on Celtic.
I had one of my mates.
They're not, by the way. I'd like to point that out. They're not. So don't. That's a joke. Imagine that.
But I found it quite interesting that Russell Martin at the weekend, he said there was a few players that got to put their egos aside. Didn't name the players.
No.
But then he goes and drops a load last night. So you can kind of guess he was talking about. It was a big shout from him to drop James Tavernier, and it paid off.
Well, anyway, we're gonna have a chat with Ross about it and talk about that and hear what he had to say last night. And I wonder how the Rangers fans are feeling about that. He laid down a marker, and it was a good performance last night. So we're going to have a chat with Ross. Now, one of the things we notice, of course, is that they have Ant-Man playing for them, which does feel a little bit unfair because he is from the Legion of Sporting Heroes. If you've seen any Marvel films, you'll be aware of Ant-Man. So I just think, I thought he'd be very industrious, but I thought he'd be maybe more industrious than that. And if, it all kicks off, he's got an army of other ants who can come in and swarm all over the opposition.
It was quite interesting the way the commentator who tried to kind of, I don't want to just call him Ant-Man, so it was Ant-Man at the start. And then there was a couple of times he just went, Ant-Man. Yeah.
So we are going to try and build the Legion of Sporting here. Basically, all we really want is, look, if it's quite difficult because it's going to feel like pretty gender specific, this, because it's going to be man, isn't it? There's not many people with woman in their name. Unfortunately, the only other one I can think of at the moment to join the Legion of Sporting Heroes is Botman.
Well, yeah.
And I suppose he gives off a kind of noxious gas.
Yeah, we don't want
that sorts out the opposition.
You don't want that special power.
No,
the only one I could think of was George Honeyman. Honeyman. What a great...
Would it be like he'd fire it? Wouldn't he fire honey at them? I don't know what he'd do.
And then a swarm of bees?
Yeah, that's it.
Would attack on command?
He'd have an army of... Sorry, you are listening to talkSPORT. He'd have an army of bees, wouldn't he? At his disposal would come and then they would swarm the... You get the idea with that. So, do let us know. You're just looking for people from the world of sport with man at the end of their name, and then you can bolt on some kind of strange superpower. But, see if we can get... if we can get Marvel interested in this, there might be a few quid in it for us, Alex.
Hopefully.
They said we'll do our best. They make enough of them. They must be looking for new ideas. Talksport.com or /H&J, text to 81089 and tweet to TSH&J. And those first sporting dates, we're interested in those as well today. So we're going to talk a bit of Rangers next. We are going to talk Arsenal. Charlie White in The Sun has looked at all the strikers that have come and gone over the years at Arsenal in recent years, since they've had a really good one, and he's kind of marked them all out of 10. And one of them I'd completely forgotten about. And we'll keep our powder dry, and we're going to go through them all with Alex and look at some of his memories of them, find out if he's happy with the latest incumbent. And Adam Smith joins us, the Zone commentator, regular here on talkSPORT. We now know, of course, we've got Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. too. Did you watch the first fight, Alex?
Yes, I did. And we were talking about it earlier, weren't we? It felt very kind of WWE, with Chris Eubank Sr. turning up, and there was a lot of excitement about it. I don't know. I'm not sure how the second fight can replicate.
Yeah, it's going to be you lose all of that sort of sidebar, that sort of wrestling feel to it with the old man and both the dads and all of that. So we'll ask Adam. What has Conor Benn learned from the first fight that he can take into the second, and what has Chris learned that doesn't leave him in hospital for 2 days afterwards? So anyway, we'll talk about the fight with Adam and other matters besides. As we said, we're going non-league with the Moose after there was a bizarre incident involving the referee when the lights went out, which was a bit am-dram, but he'll explain all of that. And apparently Ashford supply the best burger in non-league football, the chairman had told him before the game. So he obviously was duty-bound to sample it, being the Moose. So we'll find out if that was right. Jermaine Defoe's going to join us for a chat, as are Kane Williamson of New Zealand and Keaton Jennings. Know what sort of mood they'll be in.
Tough night for them.
London Spirit in the 100. and they got a right shoeing, basically, from the Oval, from the other mob down the road. So, they may be a bit... maybe not particularly happy today. Andy Goldstein's going to join us. He's out in Florida, beaten 9-1 by Earl Strickland. Considering Earl is like the Pele of Paul, to take a frame off of him, yeah, that's pretty decent going.
I mean, I'm not one to judge other people on their pool playing skills, but I assume it's still something.
Well, he's playing again. He's playing against someone else who also lost 9-1, and he's feeling quite confident.
Okay.
The 9-1 club, or the 1-9 club. So Andy joins us later on. Tim Vick with all the latest. Rest assured, West Ham fans will find out more about your new Brazilian keeper. And we'll check in with the Wrexham fans ahead of the new season. A lot of excitement, of course, for them in the Championship. And we'll be chatting to them. Plus some transfers. So that should keep you busy. Thanks for all your emails and texts. They're coming in now. The Legion of Sporting Heroes will be adding to that. But we will kick off chatting to former Rangers player, Ross McCormack, Scotland player as well, and get his thoughts on that performance by Rangers last night against Victoria Pilsen, and the wider picture of what was said by Russell Martin and all the fallout from it. We're here with our good friends at Toolstation. This summer, shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. Hawksbee, and my mind's gone blank. Alex Brooker, that's the fella. With you through until 4. With you through until 4 here on... I was going to call you Charlie Brooker.
Oh, well.
With you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. And we asked you about superpowers. And Ant-Man, of course, has joined the Legion of Sporting Heroes. And somebody has said Sven Botman. I think we just did that one, Adam. I think we just did that one, mate. Someone else has also said Danny Invincible Max Power. Haven't really got the hang of this, have they?
I think you explained it very clearly, what we were looking for. Basically, people with the word man at the end of their... It's very root one.
Adimola, look, man, he has really good eyesight. Well, I think this...
now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
We're up and running.
Diddy Haman. I'm not sure about this one, Andy. Turns everyone into crispy bacon.
I quite like.
Yeah, you'd watch the film though, wouldn't you? Yeah. And ham is different to bacon, Andy. So that's quite good. Tim Henman, half man, half hen. But what does that allow him to do, Pete?
Which half as well?
I don't know. Yeah.
How are those halves working out? Is he got a beak?
Has he got hen legs?
Has he got a fluffy backside?
Anyway, as we said, you are listening to talkSPORT. You can keep those coming. The Legion of Sporting Heroes joining Ant-Man, and we did that, of course, because he was so important to Rangers last night. Before we chat to Ross McCormack, let's have a word from Russell Martin, the man of the moment, after calling out a number of his players after that draw the weekend with Motherwell. They went out there and got the result last night, and he spoke to the media after that 3-0 win against Victoria Pilsen, and he said it was the most complete performance from his team since he took over.
It was the most put together performance we've had, for sure, with the ball and without. So the reaction to losing the ball was great. With the ball, moved it much quicker, shorter distance, found the spare man a lot, runs in behind way more than what we've had in the last few games. But we are going to get much better than that. So I'm really pleased, but there's still so much to do and so much to work on. We're so early on, but for the guys to put on a performance like that this early, after a difficult time on Saturday and in such a game that means so much, I'm really proud.
There we are, yeah, good performance, encouraging from a Rangers point of view. Ross McCormack joins us now, former Rangers and Scotland striker. How are you, Ross?
Afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, we're not so bad. So where did you sit before last night on that rant, and we'll call it a rant, when he called out a few of his players? Did you think that was a good call or a bad call?
I was sort of torn, to be honest. Listen, there's been too many managers at Rangers that have came in and accepted that type of performance that they put on against Motherwell. So, in a way, it was quite refreshing. There was no holding back. It was very honest. He called it for what it was. And listen, it ultimately worked, because he got the reaction that he wanted. They were brilliant last night.
And for those players, Ross, that were dropped, obviously to drop the captain, James Tavernier, that's a big call early on in your managerial career, isn't it?
It definitely is, yeah. I think there's been a lot of noise for years around James Tavernier, but I'm not one of them who gets with the idea that he should be out of the team. To produce the numbers that he does year after year from right back position, I mean, the season they got to the Europa League final, I think he was the top goal scorer in the competition from right back. It is ridiculous. I firmly believe that the Rangers fans won't realise what they've got there until it's gone. He won't be remembered as he should be until he's gone. But listen, it's Russell Martin's call. He went with it. It was a big call. Not only that, he dropped Nicholas Raskin, who a lot of Rangers fans probably think he's the best player. He plays regular now for Belgium. So it was two massive calls. And listen, if they didn't get the right result, then the heat was going to be on Russell. But as I said, they were fantastic. So he got it right.
We'll see how all those players who were dropped react now, which is quite key, isn't it, really? And if they want to work their way back into a team and kind of start doing what he expects from them.
Yeah, well, you seen it last night, especially from Raskin when he came on. His head wasn't down. There was no toys getting thrown out the pram. He came on and worked hard. I think them two players that we're speaking about have, shown a willingness to be part of this project. And that's what it is. It's a project. It's not going to happen overnight. Russell will need time. I think he'll get a bit of time. But along the way with that time, you've got to put in performances and get some results. And last night was big for that squad.
It was a fantastic performance as well. I mean, JD Gassama, that's his fourth goal in Europe already. Third and fourth goals in Europe already this season. He looks like a great signing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's what they needed. Russell spoke about it in his post-match interview. He was saying they had a lot more forward runs than usual. That came from Gassama and also the new signing, the Ant-Man, who I heard you reference earlier. And it makes such a big difference. What it does is it creates space in them little pockets for your number 8s or your number 10s, whoever it is, to get in there and get turned. And I've got to say, Lyle Cameron, who they signed from Kilmarnock, who, there wasn't a massive fanfare about. He wasn't an exotic name coming from abroad for millions of pounds. But for me, he was the best player in the park last night. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, look, we all know how these things work. It'll be measured up really against the job they do against Celtic and those sort of key old firm derbies. But, having two wide men playing like that, I'm sure the Rangers fans, even those that maybe doubted what Russell Martin said at the weekend and thought maybe it was the wrong move, will all now kind of get behind him and feel he's the right man for the job.
Yeah, listen, they've got no choice. He's in the door now. Those fans have shown throughout a number of years that regardless what's going on at the club, they'll back them in their numbers. They'll be at every single away game. Every away game's like a home game, apart from obviously Parkhead. But they'll continue to back the team and back the manager until the manager's not there anymore. That's the way both sets of fans in Glasgow operate.
Also been a story emerging about Scott McTominay, who's been shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or.
Give him it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. This, I think, it's the first time since our own Ali McCoist that a Scottish player has been on there. But we were just talking about it before, Alex. It's an amazing story, isn't it? Wasn't even getting regular football at Manchester United. They were prepared to let him go, even though I'm sure a lot of fans felt they shouldn't have done because he still offered a lot, even when he was coming off the bench. But, it is a bit of a fairy tale. Just he's become this cult hero, his own murals in Naples. It's a great story.
Yeah, I've had a few friends go over to watch Napoli play this season, and especially towards the end of the season, the fanfare around him is absolutely massive. He's an absolute god there. And fair play, because leaving a club the size of Manchester United, he'd been there his whole career. It's difficult, it really is. And to go somewhere that is so in love with their football, like Naples is, and be the best player there, and win Serie A, just shows the character of the man. He was absolutely fantastic. So hats off to him. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see if he can win it. Yeah,
the fact he's just taken his game up another level. It's like I was saying, I was talking to an AC Milan fan on holiday, and he was saying about Napoli having the best player in the league in McTominay. And when he was at Manchester United on the fringes, you could never have imagined him going over there and doing that.
No, it's a cracking story, really. So, well, Ross, good to talk to you. Thanks very much.
And you guys, take care.
There we are, Ross McCormack there, formerly of Rangers, and Scotland reflecting on Rangers' win against Victoria Pilsen last night. I thought the only one who looked dangerous for Pilsen from the highlights I saw was the guy on the right wing.
Okay.
Who again, he's another one. He did have a bit of West Ham written all over him. Although they've got Jared Bowen, he's not as good as him. But yeah, they like a Czech player, don't they? They've picked up some bargains from the Czech league. I should have got his name, but I thought he looked quite. He was really quick when I remember a couple of times he's pushed balls.
I want to get you out doing a bit of scouting for.
For West Ham.
Yeah.
What with
just
Andy?
Purely players that you think, do you know what? He's got a bit of West Ham about him.
Well, Andy was right about Callum Wilson, wasn't he? He signed.
Yeah.
Yes. Gordon from Welling Garden City at Rangers. We don't just have Ant-Man, we have Gasser Man, commonly known as the Gas Man. Oh, okay. Not quite the same, is it? And Freddie Woodman. Yeah. Maybe we should steer clear of that. But apparently, no. He shoots blocks of hardwood. Not the softwood, just the hardwood, apparently.
It's nice now that people are getting the idea of the game.
They are.
The listeners.
Yeah, Jurgen Klinsmann. But you've not said what he does he, in the Legion of Sporting Heroes? Our own Adrian Durham's got in touch. What's he come up with? I saw his name pop up here. He gives us Serena Wiegmann vegan-based superhero feats. He says, okay, thank you very much, caller. Yeah. You have not won the £50 Wix vouchers, but thank you very much. Hans Zimmerman attacks with a Zimmer frame. Yeah, they're getting the idea.
Yeah.
They need to be sports people, of course. talkSPORT.com. Text 8 to 89, tweet TSH&J. First dates that were sport. Alex was telling us how a possible romance was kind of kiboshed by a trip to Ashford Town FC when he was about 12. I took a nice young lady to Lord's to watch England versus Pakistan in 2010. Broad's only test century and the match-fixing scandal. Oh, memorable game. A great day all round and a kiss goodbye at Baker Street Station. We never saw each other again. It wasn't meant to be, says Jenky, the Arsenal supporter. What about that? So, I mean, it's quite sad there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I thought that was going. I thought he was meant to go, and now we're man and wife. And you're going to go, we had a kiss at the station.
Just went nowhere.
And we've been married for the last 14 years. But
maybe he was a bit of a meal ticket because, you know, tickets for test matches are expensive. So I don't want to spend 150 quid on a ticket. So I'll go with him.
Also,
give him a kiss at Baker Street Station, and that's it.
That's a whole day. It's a long old date. That is. It's not, you know, a quick meal. We're in and out in a couple of hours. That's a full day with someone. Yeah,
you got a chance to make your mind up. That's true. Keep them coming then. The Legion of Sporting Heroes and Sporting First Dates. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. We are going to talk a bit of Arsenal next. We're going to do a roll call of their many strikers. Pre their latest signing. That's coming up shortly.
It's not often you associate fan power with Chelsea Football Club, but one of the shining examples of it lies with a group called the Chelsea Pitch Owners. And they've proved to be the thorn in the side of owners past and present who've been dead set on moving stadiums to a larger, more lucrative piece of land. Essentially, the supporters group holds the freehold to the land on which Stamford Bridge sits. Former owner Ken Bates set it up at a time where some unruly property developers tried to evict the club from their ground. In order to prevent this, he established the CPO as a company that owned the pitch and offered the fans the chance to buy a share for £100. As well as that, they also own the rights to the name Chelsea Football Club, so if any owner wants to take them elsewhere, they can't be called Chelsea without the approval from the CPO. Now, in 2011, Roman Abramovich tried and failed to move them away from Stamford Bridge, and this has set a precedent for Todd Boehly and the current power brokers at Chelsea. They know any plan which involves moving from Stamford Bridge will require CPO approval from the now 13,000 fans who own it. There are fans who are concerned that if they stay at the bridge, they'll be left behind their domestic and European rivals who are moving to more commercially successful stadiums. But for the heritage and history lovers, Stamford Bridge is one of the iconic English stadiums, and to move away would be a grave mistake. It might not be as flashy as others, but stadiums like it have something about them that cannot be replaced. One thing's for sure, if Boehly wants to take Chelsea away from their home, he'll have to go through the CPO first.
Premier League title is coming back to Anfield after a 5-year...
Whatever it is now, you're part of history as well.
Ball into the feet, Marino, Saka! 1-0 Arsenal! No more than they deserve.
We have brought the club into a position, into a place that next season you have to win a major trophy.
Marmoush coming forward, shooting from the edge of the area, scores a wonderful goal. Oh, it's about 30 yards from goal. Pull the trigger now and finds the bottom corner. Alexander Isak.
We are being the worst team, maybe, in history of Manchester United.
Tottenham end the season 17th in the Premier League.
It's low into the corner, and it is 7-0. Oh, the Premier League, we've missed you.
Yep, not long now to the return of the Premier League. Next Friday, Liverpool-Bournemouth live on talkSPORT to kick things off. I think most people's favourites for the title still Liverpool. It's interesting, Pep feeling they've now got enough to properly challenge again. You kind of feel with the business Liverpool done and the business they still might do if they get Isak.
If they sign Isak, I think it's
game over.
Very, very, very difficult for the rest of us to
I mean, you've gone out and spent a fair bit of money and strengthened.
They have Arsenal, and they've done the business fairly early as well.
So would it be unfair? I mean, let's just play this clip from Perry Groves, because he was chatting to Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, and they were arguing about whether Arteta would be sacked if he doesn't win a major trophy this season.
If it's another year without silverware, what happens at the end of the season in terms of Mikel Arteta? Because a lot of Arsenal fans I speak to have this sort of blind loyalty to Mikel Arteta.
So they should.
They see where you were when he came in.
Absolutely.
They see where you are now.
Yep.
But sooner or later, do you not have to turn that into something tangible in terms of winning a trophy?
Again, it all depends how the season goes. All depends what your season's like, how close you are to winning it. I'm a massive Arteta fan because we were irrelevant before we got to Arsenal, right? We were like, actually, no, we weren't as pants as Man United, but we were 6th and 7th, nowhere near.
9 cup finals in 10 years.
He's brought, anybody can win a cup.
Eric Ten Hag won twice as many major titles as Arteta did. I'm just saying, as much as you can say they're relevant again, you still want to win trophies. And as a football fan, you want to see your team win something.
Yes, but the position that we're at, you know how it's going to be. Winning the FA Cup.
You're going to finish second at best again. Liverpool are going to win the league.
Winning the FA Cup, no, we're going to win it.
Liverpool will win the league.
No, you hope that Liverpool win it.
So if they get Isak and you've got Gyökeres, who's got the better player?
You would say Isak because he has played in the Premier League. But then that doesn't mean to say that when he goes to Liverpool, that there's miles more pressure at Liverpool than there was at Newcastle. He's got to fit into their style of play. So you just think it's a given. You think it's very black and white, where it isn't.
Well, there we are. That was Perry Groves and Alex Crook, probably claiming some of our fee for this show based on that. Who edited that? About 3/4 of an hour.
We were kind of just looking at each other for a while.
At one point, I said to Alex, pint. We were going to go over Borough Market. Have a quick pint. Anyway, you got the gist of it.
Yeah.
The problem is, Perry said anyone can win a cup, but if Arsenal don't win the league, which, I mean, it's not until Bilbao, I was often heard saying, It's really hard to win a cup. You can get very close to winning a cup. You can get to finals. You just don't quite get over the line. It's difficult, isn't it?
I think it is. I think it's a weird one with Arsenal because obviously we won the FA Cup in 2014. We won the FA Cup in 2015. And there wasn't a great feeling around the club about where we were going then, towards, you still had the Wenger out kind of brigade. You had people going, actually, now he's won, Wenger's won a trophy that he should have gone in, some of the fans were like, he should have gone. And they just won the FA Cup and we were all happy about it. So it's one of those things where it is what you're in it for, is trophies. I think with
that
Arteta,
wouldn't be enough, though, would it now? I mean, because he's won FA Cups, would it be enough if Arsenal won the League Cup or the FA Cup next season?
I think if Arsenal won the FA Cup or League Cup and dropped off massively in the league and were nowhere near, in the Champions League, they struggled. I don't think any team has any right to say we'll definitely be in a semi-final of the Champions League again or things like that. But I think if Arsenal dropped off markedly in the league, I'm not sure if Arteta won the League Cup and we didn't finish in the Champions League spots, I wouldn't see that as progress. I think with Arsenal, where Arteta's taken them, he got their money, won the FA Cup straight away, and he hadn't been there that long, and that's kind of sometimes gets forgotten a little bit. But I think is where the team's going. You can see, you can see where I think there's a feeling around the team. Are we making progress? I think Arsenal made a lot of progress really quickly. They challenged for the league title a couple of times. Probably should have won, one of them. And they fell away last season. Wasn't as good, but he can kind of point to loads of injuries, and it's one of those things where this season I'm kind of judging it as, they've given him a lot of money to spend again. We've spent money, so it's just where the team challenges.
You've gone close to the title a couple of times. You've gone deep into the Champions League, so those kind of boxes are ticked. I know exactly. I tend to agree with you that if you're a fan and you sense progression, then forget all the other noise. If he doesn't end up winning a trophy, or it is only the League Cup, people say it's only the League Cup. But your sense if it's going in the right direction, and you'll know the way the wind is blowing. But as you said, if you get to the end of next year and you feel like you've been treading water, he probably will be under a bit of pressure.
I think he will be, and I think actually, he's still. You're in it for the trophies, and I think that if Arsenal, especially, they don't get to finals and they do drop away, I think he will be under more pressure because ultimately the board are still backing him. They're still signing the players that he wants to sign. He spent a good wedge on Gyökeres and Zubimendi, and they've strengthened again.
And you could still get Eze. That would be pretty huge for you.
I think I just as a football fan, and we were talking about you'd love him at Spurs. I just think as a player that you'd love to watch for your club.
Absolutely,
that's what I think with Eze.
I'm surprised no one has spent the money that has gone close to yet.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the Spurs would come in
they
for
need
him.
someone in that position now. But I don't know. I always think I could be wrong, but I think there's something about the righty factor around players of that era, especially Palace players of that era. We've talked. I'm honest. The amount of people from football or from any sports or showbiz come in. And they say, why are you an Arsenal fan? They say, righty. I mean, it sounds like a ridiculous way to sort of base you, but I just think there is an allure.
I'd love to see as at Arsenal, and again, we'll just have to see how they start the season. It was quite funny. We were talking about the Spurs game the other day, and people online going, Gyökeres doesn't look up to much. He played 12 minutes. He'd only just come on. He was in humidity. He's not really trained with the team. He only turned up, kind of said hello at half-time the game before. He's had a couple of training sessions, gets 12 minutes, and people are like, they've obviously got a dud there. And it's like, how? I don't know how you can say.
Can we send him back, you said somebody said.
You see all this rage bait on Instagram and people just trying to, I think with Arsenal fans, we react so extremely to this. So we're the biggest fallers for the rage bait.
Well, look, Charlie White looked at all the strikers that had come in before Gyökeres since the Invincibles, and look, there's some good ones in there. Van Persie. I think some of the other ones who did. There's not a lot of good ones. I mean, Giroud did pretty well for you. Lacazette scored goals. Aubameyang scored goals for a while. I mean, Havertz is still there. But the one that stood out for me that I'd completely forgotten about was Park Ju-young, who got 1 from Charlie when he did his ratings. I don't know if you're looking at the barometer, Van Persie got 8 and Lacazette got 7. And
I think maybe he got one for. I think he only played one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he only started one. I remember he came in when we signed. Basically, we did a load of deadline day signings. So it was Arteta, Mertesacker, and I remember Arsenal going in, and he was meant to be having his medical at Lille, and Arsenal kind of swooped in at the last minute.
Wow.
And because they was kind of, they give him the number 9. You think, I've never heard it. I've never seen this guy play.
No.
He must have something about him. He didn't.
He played. He made one sub appearance in the Prem.
Yeah,
and he was there for 3 seasons.
They basically loaned him out. You know, I know, like, as football fans, we can be quick to judge, as we were just saying about Gyökeres. But in fairness, with Park Ju-young, any Arsenal fan that saw him, I remember him coming on against Man United, and we were losing, and he came on with 8 minutes left, and you're going, this guy he's not going to turn this game around. He's never going to do it.
Maybe we should add that to this, though. You knew in the first 5 minutes, we've all got a player like that.
Yeah.
Mine has become a bit of a cult, I wouldn't call him a hero, but a cult character at Tottenham. Paolo Tramezzani, who was a left-back that we signed for Italy, a shock of blonde hair. And his first game at the back was against Wimbledon in the league when he signed in the 90s. And we lost 3-1. And you could tell there's not play. Apparently he played for Milan. But he played for Milan a long time ago, and he'd been loaned out a lot since then. And blimey, I think we bought a pup there. You know, sometimes within 5 minutes.
I always think that those are the sort of players who, if anybody's ever played like Championship Manager or Football Manager series, the sort of players as soon as you start at a club, straight on the transfer list.
Yeah,
just get rid.
So we'll add those. You knew within 5 minutes. Who were they? talksport.com, text 81089. Tweet TSH and J 03717223344. More from the Legion of Sporting Heroes, but we're talking boxing next with the Zone commentator Adam Smith. He was there first time around on commentary duty for Ben Eubank 1. I'm sure he'll be there for Ben Eubank 2, but what does he make of the fight? And what did the guys learn in the first fight they take into the second fight? We'll ask Adam in a few moments' time. We're here with Tool Station. Delivery in as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station. Paul Hawksbee and Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT, and after all the talk of a second Ben Eubank fight fell through, it was expected to be next month. We thought probably that was it for a while, but it was confirmed today that they will fight once again in November at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm sure on commentary duty again, as he was that night, is Adam Smith and his own commentator. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, Adam. Yeah. So, look, it's official. How are you feeling about this fight? It's a lot different schools of thought. People felt, it was one and done. What was your take on it?
I love it. It's a story. It's a story that's been going on 3 decades and more. I had the pleasure of working with Senior and with Nigel Benn in the sort of last third of their careers, I guess. And I've known the kids for forever, and I think that it's what we love. The casual fans love a rivalry. It's a bitter rivalry, and all the hoopla and the anticipation ahead of April's fight at Tottenham was at fever pitch. And if the first bell had gone and the boys hadn't delivered, then we'd have said, okay, fair enough. It was a little bit of a circus show maybe, but they got down and dirty, and they provided one of the great dust-ups we've had. Was it technical boxing at its best? Maybe not, but it was a ferocious 12-rounder, and I think everybody was left wanting more, both in Tottenham and on DAZN and around the world, and we're going to get it again in November. Yes, I understand about the weight clauses. Yes, I understand about the fact it may not live up to the brutality, I guess, beautiful brutality of the first fight, but it's a fight that has to happen again. Conor Benn wants revenge. I think he grew hugely in their first fight, and I think Junior gutted it out when people were questioning him. I thought he was terrific down the back stretch, and they provided what they said they would, a fantastic fight, and it will be round 13 in November. I'm glad it's been made. I know it was looked at for September, but I think another couple of months is good for both of them. And yes, Chris Eubank will have turned 36. Yes, Conor Benn will be 29. But it's a fight that we have to see again. And I'm very glad that His Excellency, that Ring Magazine, that everybody that needed to get it done have got it done. The guys will be earning huge money, and we will be hugely entertained again.
I mean, Adam, because like you mentioned, it was at fever pitch in the build-up to the first fight, and you had all the drama of, Eubank Senior turning up in the car and all of that, and it just really added to it. It felt huge. But like, how possibly could the second fight live up to that first fight's billing?
It's a great question, and maybe it can't, but we're going to try. Everybody on DAZN, everybody in boxing. It's a chance for us again to have the football fans watching, and that's important. We've grown. At times it's been a trade sport, boxing, but we've grown so much over the years to have these stadium shows, to see AJ and Klitschko at Wembley, from Froch Groves and all of that. We've had brilliant times in the last 10, 15 years, and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh has come in the last couple of years, and he's given us what we want, what us fans want, and we're all fans. We want the best fights, and it doesn't matter if they're for world titles or for maybe it's your Canelo Crawfords at the elite level. It can be just a British title fight, or it can just be a fight with the Ring Magazine title. It doesn't really matter, as long as the best are fighting the best in their weight classes, or the second best are fighting the second best. Do you know what I mean? It's great fights are being made for the public, and I think this is another one. And yeah, there is a chance it might not be as good as the first. We saw that with Ben Eubank Senior when they fought in Birmingham, then they fought to the draw in Old Trafford, and it wasn't the same the second. It had all the build up, and it had the huge crowd at Manchester United, but it didn't have a great fight. And sometimes rematches don't live up, but sometimes they're even better. And I'm thinking sort of Bo Holyfield, I'm thinking Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward, Barrera Morales, or they're nearly as good. It doesn't quite matter. Maybe the first one won't be beaten, but I think it will be fascinating to see. Will Eubank be okay at the weight again? again. He's a little bit older. Will Conor Benn have learnt enough in that first fight to maybe get it right this time? Because there were times in that first fight, and Declan Rice was sitting just behind us, and he was a big Conor Benn fan, and he was saying to me, do you think he's going to win? And at times in the middle rounds, I thought Conor was going to win. But Eubank, as I said, did so well at the back end. And it was one of those fights where it could have gone either way, but Eubank was the right winner and, got the decision correctly. And now it's a chance for, can he do it again? Will it be repeat or will it be revenge? Will the fight be as good? I think that you're right. The Eubank senior moment when he turned up did make it because of the fact that he didn't want to be there and was nowhere near the build-up. And it was, it shocked all of us at ringside as much as everybody at home. So that was a great moment. And I think there'll be more moments in the build-up to this and on the night itself. Who knows with boxing? It's unpredictable. There'll be thrills and spills in the press conferences. We don't know what's going to happen, but I think we do know that it's round 13. And I think they're going to get down to it. And I think we're going to get another great fight.
Alex was saying earlier on, Adam, that his wife sat down and watched the fight with him. It's the first time she's ever watched boxing. So all the build-up, all the sort of hysteria, the hoopla, as you say, around it did get people not necessarily watch boxing into it. The flip side of that, of course, is what happened to Chris Jr. afterwards when he spent a couple of days in hospital. Do you think they're going to have to look to tweak some of the clauses around the fight? The optics of that are not good for boxing, are they?
Great questions today, guys, as always. I think it's an important one because health and safety comes first. We love our fighters and we want to make sure that they are safe. They signed up for this rematch, so I guess it will be the same. I would like to see a slight increase in the weight clause. I would be happier if it was a 162, 163, so that Chris, we didn't see maybe those pictures of Chris burning that weight down and trying to get it off at the last hurdle, and then of course the fines and everything that went on before the night itself. But again, that's possibly harsh on Conor because he's naturally a much smaller fighter. So we leave that up to the board, to the contractual negotiations. If it is set, if they do feel it's different, it's another couple of months down the road, everyone's a couple of months older. I don't know whether they just see it as the same again. We don't want to see either hurt. Both went to hospital afterwards. It was a brutal fight. Maybe this fight won't be as brutal. Maybe they can't go there again. They shared their souls in there the first fight. And I was with Conor a couple of weeks ago, and he still hates Chris. There's going to be no postcards exchanged, no Christmas cards. They don't like each other, which is fine. Froch and Groves didn't either before their rematch. It took a long time for them to thaw. Barrera Morales, that was a rivalry going back to a football field when they were kids, and that was just bitter. But it took their wives to sort that out, and they did, and the four of them now go out for dinner. So we don't know what's going to happen with Eubank and Ben in the future, but I know what they did share souls in there. They have huge respect for each other as fighters, and I think we'll get more of the same. And let's hope they both come out happy and healthy, and we get a great night. And I'm sure we will at Tottenham Hotspur. Fantastic stadium for boxing. Can't wait to be back there on November the 15th.
Thanks, Adam. We'll see you soon. All the best.
Cheers, Adam.
Cheers, guys.
Adam Smith there, the DAZN commentator. And before that fight, of course, we've got a big night of boxing coming up on August the 16th. It's Dillian White, of course, taking on Moses Atoma, who's a fantastic young fighter. I think we're going to have a chat with Moses on this show later this week. It's a massive heavyweight fight out in Saudi. Our team will be out in Riyadh, bringing you all the action. We're a busy fight week building up to that one. And we'll have ringside coverage and a live watch along. So that's Moses Atoma versus Dillian White next Saturday, or Saturday the 16th, on the talkSPORT network and talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Plenty more football to talk about, more of your legion of sporting heroes and sporting first dates. We're going to talk a bit of Manchester United, go non-league with the Moose, and chat to Jermaine Defoe, and also Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings from the world of cricket. That's all to come.
after football. For a lot of players, it means going into punditry. Some turn to coaching or working in the game in other ways. But what about the rest? Some former footballers turn their sights away from the game, and there are a few big surprises. First up, from rainbow flicks to pancake flips. Ex-Chelsea and Southampton defender Ken Monku switched up his footballing career to buy a Dutch pancake house. He bought out the shop, which had been his favourite pancake spot as a child, and before long he was mixing the batter and getting behind the stove. Next, Everton legend Thomas Gravesen swapped out the high stakes of the Premier League for those of the poker room. He made over 150 appearances for the Toffees and won the Scottish Premier League with Celtic. Turned out the Danish international was pretty darn good at poker. He racked up a reported £100 million from his Las Vegas adventures. Remember former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech? Turns out football nets weren't the only goals he was pretty handy in front of. After retirement, he became a goaltender in ice hockey. Same skills, very different surface. And he even won a Division 2 title with Guildford Phoenix. For ex-Liverpool centre-back Daniel Agger, it wasn't just fancy footwork that was in his blood. He was also pretty good with his hands. The Denmark international turned to tattoo artistry after he hung up his boots. He'd qualified as a skin artist while at Anfield, and he then became the co-owner of his own tattoo company as well. It's not all glamour for ex-pros, though. 1966 World Cup winner Ray Wilson set up a very different kind of business. He became an undertaker after he retired. Finally, not many people can say they've won both a World Cup and starred in an Oscar-winning film. In fact, there's only one person in the entire world who can say that. Frank Leboeuf, the former Chelsea defender, was part of the 1998 France squad who won the World Cup. He ended up marking Brazil's Ronaldo in the final and helped his side to a 3-0 win. But Leboeuf had already begun acting on the side while he was playing football, and his biggest role came some years after his retirement when he landed the part of a doctor in the Stephen Hawking biopic The Theory of Everything.
I embrace the career of acting, so I want to learn more. So seeing lots of movies is a part of my job.
To be honest, with all the dramatic diving in the game these days, there's probably tons of ex-pros who've got the acting skills to make it in Hollywood.
Yes, good afternoon. It is Paul Hawksbee and Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT, where we're going to be chatting to the former Spurs, West Ham, England, Sunderland striker Jermaine Defoe a little bit later on. Alex played Soccer Aid with him, didn't you, recently?
Yeah, he's honestly, it's like he's just so good. There's levels to this game, and honestly, any chance to shoot.
Yeah,
it's
he's been retired a few years. There's no slacking off. He's looked after himself, clearly.
100%. He's different level.
So we'll talk about that, why never passed to Alex, or indeed anybody, by the sound of it. We go non-league with the Moose, and Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings join us. Talk a bit of cricket with them. But first, that news emerging that Everton are chatting to Jack Grealish, and David Moyes promising signings next week. Maybe he could be one of them. So before we do that, we are going to talk Manchester United, and before we do that, we're going to hear a caller, Andy the Newcastle fan. He called Jeff Stelling and Andy Townsend on breakfast this morning, and he doesn't understand why players would choose Manchester United over his beloved Newcastle.
I don't think we're a feeder club. I think the press like to make out we are. I think there's a simple reason why players are choosing other clubs this summer, and it's wages. We can't compete wages-wise. Our top earners are on 120, 150, and they're wanting double that. Even like Brian and Bremo got 250 to go to Man United. Sesko's probably been offered 50%, maybe he's 100% more than we can give him. It's a no-brainer that he's going to choose Man United over us because, unfortunately, everyone goes to work to make money. Why would you choose Man United, which is a basket case club, over Newcastle? It's definitely not geographically. We've got Champions League football. We've got 52,000 people in there every week screaming at you and adoring you. Man United's on the way down, we're on the way up.
Yeah, that was Andy standing his club's corner. As we said, the enduring allure of Manchester United. I mean, Brian and Bremo, he is getting more money by going there, but it did feel like it was more than that. Jamie Jackson is the Manchester correspondent for The Guardian. Good afternoon, Jamie.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
We shouldn't. I mean, you can't really underplay the history of the club, can you? And in many people's eyes, there's a generation of players who grew up with Manchester United in their pomp, and it still means a lot. And yeah, okay, basket case, call it what you will. Things are not perfect at the moment, but you know, the name is still huge.
Yeah, I mean, I totally respect the Newcastle fan and any fan of any football club sort of position sticking up for their club. But actually what he said then, it's only the wages, is actually related to the word you just used then, Paul, the allure, the history, the success. Why can they pay sort of, you know, as he sort of said, I'm not sure it's completely true, but twice as much? Because they are massive. And why are they massive? Because they've won so many trophies, had all these amazing players. And so the actual wages, I get what the point he's making, but actually he's actually sort of killing his own argument, because that proves, that they are a bigger club because they can pay more. Because remember, Manchester United, maybe not the only one, but it's one of the very few clubs in the world that organically can pay all these big wages because of the sort of business model. I mean, you know, the club has had 20 years of Glazer ownership, and yet it's still a massive going concern. You know, we all know the debt, 1 billion plus. They've lost £300 million in the last 3 years. But the point is, it is still Manchester United. And whether people like it or not, that's just a fact. That's inarguable, because we're seeing it this summer. And it is very interesting, you know, this Sesko case. It proves it all, as the caller said. He said we, meaning Newcastle, are on the way up. But for how long? United, in their sort of most fallow period, if you want to say it, for certainly a generation, have still won, I don't know, 4 or 5 sort of trophies. I know they're cups, they're not leagues, don't get me wrong. They haven't competed for the league, but you know, Arsenal would kill for that, basically, at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's very true. You would, wouldn't you? Alex is sitting there nodding.
You know what? Yeah, we would. I mean, you know, they're consistently, they still win trophies, even when they're in a bad period. But also, I feel like we all kind of, you know, in our own heads, our own clubs are always massive.
Yeah.
But Manchester United is still objectively a huge football club. And I think the other thing for Sesko, I don't know if you agree with this, Jamie, is that obviously he will have looked at it, and Newcastle, they got Alanga in, and not really anybody else, and Isak wants out. And if you look at where clubs that, I know Manchester United have had a tough time the last couple of seasons, but you know, they've got Cunha and Mbeumo, and it feels like they are building something again at Manchester United a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, this summer, as this summer develops, I, as someone who covers the club, and other reporters, and just anyone really, but can sort of see what the Ratcliffe plan is starting to be. Yes, he had a lot of, or he still continues to get a lot of, how can I say it, disagreement for the cuts. You know, making people unemployed is horrible. Don't get me wrong. It's, you know, it's awful. These are people's livelihoods and families, and it's just misery. But, you know, from his point of view, we're now seeing the reasons why. You know, another example of kind of what Ratcliffe's done well is, you know, Rashford's wages being wholly paid by Barcelona. Now, I'm, you know, I've reported this a few times. I think he's, if not the highest paid player, the second only to Casemiro, the thick end of 365, 370, right? So, you know, to offload that, you know, it's good business. You know, whether you agree with the model and all the rest of it in the sort of cut and thrust of football, and with these 3 signings, well, Sesko's not confirmed yet, I get it, but, you know, this sort of third one probably going to happen. You can start to see, okay, you know, and I am told, I have reported that in 2 summers from now, they think they could compete properly, like in the transfer market. And to be honest, they're starting to do it already. You know, we can all have arguments about whether Sesko's their number one choice. It was actually Liam Delap and all the rest of it. But, you know, another major signing. So, yeah, I mean, it is just the allure, the power of Manchester United. And, you know, it's interesting. Chelsea now have that kind of pull, but only because they were able to get in before the PSR that's kind of not killed, but sort of stymied Newcastle United a little bit. Because, you know, rules came in. This is why Chelsea can now do this, because they had the head start, or they got in before that happened. And so Newcastle will be in the same position. And actually, I know we're not necessarily talking about this, but it's related. I actually think PSR rules, I get why they're in to sort of protect clubs, but I think that they're hampering a club like Newcastle United, which got mega rich owners.
The idea was to make for PSR to make it a level playing field, but it doesn't. It just really plays into the hands, as you said, the people that got there first, or the clubs that self-generate, make lots of money. So it kind of maintains the status quo, and maybe they will look at it again at some point.
For Manchester United, Jamie, obviously, you know, this is another big deal. You know, I know they've got Rashford's wages off of the bill, but are they gonna have to sell some players?
Well, I mean, a few people have been asking, haven't they? I mean, where's all this money come from? Considering Jim Ratcliffe said they were going to be out of business they could have been bankrupt within 6 months unless he started cutting back on paper clips.
Well, I mean, it's actually it's the Rashford thing. It's sell-on fees for Elanga, Carreras, or your Dele. Other cuts in sort of wages, loan deals in January. Yes, listen. By the end of this round of redundancies, it'll be 2/3 approximately of the workforce Ratcliffe inherited, which was about 1,100 when he came in. Will have gone. It's a massive saving. Again, that's misery, people. Don't get me wrong, but it is so. I think that, the phrase or the word that's always used is they now have headroom, to do this deal. So at the moment, they're fine. Now, obviously, they still have players, assets to sell. Garnacho is probably the one, I would argue. They'd probably want the thick end of 60. I think they'd be looking to get 40, 45 because everyone knows they want to sell him. But, this, again, from their point of view, the club's point, this is clever. This is what they should be doing, really, in terms of try to sort out this club and to use, your phrase. It does seem that the buildings have done. The only thing I'm going to caveat this with is we've been here before. Or I've been here before so many times, so many summers. They bring in loads of players. You think, oh, hello. And then come September, the manager's under pressure, or the head coach in this case, it'd be Amarin. And you think, oh, crumbs, these signings haven't worked. They've got to work.
Yeah.
I suggest midfield is a massive issue. And I'd also suggest if you don't get a midfielder in, then one of those two number 10s, maybe they should have gone for a midfielder instead. But, watch this space. We're still in the 6th of August. We've got best part of a month to do it. I wouldn't be surprised, if a midfielder does come in.
Just a quick one on Grealish and this story that's emerging that Everton are in talks. I mean, it was pretty clear he was going to move on somewhere. I would imagine, I don't know if it's a loan or they're looking to buy him outright, but an interesting move from Everton's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a loan because, again, he's on, I think, 3 a week, 300. So, yeah, I mean, listen, for me, he is a very, very, very good footballer. I really love watching him. Gives any team something different. Great signing for Everton. And, David Moyes, you don't need me to say, he's a very good manager. His track record and all the rest of it. So I'll put it this way. I think he may well go there if the structure of the deal is right. And I think it's a good move for Jack Grealish. I feel a bit sorry for him because he was an integral part of the treble-winning season, but he's been hampered by injuries. Pep doesn't quite fancy him. He'll have his own reasons for that. Obviously, Guardiola, he's a genius. I'm not going to argue with him, but I think it's a great move for Grealish. And I'd be surprised if it doesn't happen.
Good stuff. Good to talk to you, Jamie. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Jamie Jackson there, the Guardian's man up in Manchester.
I think Grealish to Everton, I think it'd be a great move.
Yeah.
I think he's still a really good player, and I think if he was playing regularly, I think we'd see him get back to the level.
Exciting. I mean, interesting. Will they play him as a 10? I mean, you kind of feel that's where he's at his best now, really, as a player. As he gets that little bit older.
Yeah, definitely. But I just think if I was an Everton fan, especially if they can do a decent loan deal, of $300,000 a week, so they're not going to be able to be covering all of that. But if they get a decent loan deal for him, and I think we'll be really excited, in that new stadium as well. I just think it'll.
David Moyes gets a lot of stick for being a bit of a pragmatic coach, but if they get Dibbling and Grealish, I mean, that will be an exciting team to watch.
100%. I mean, it's a lot of money that Southampton want for Dibbling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot.
I think they've still got some horse trading to do there, but I'm sure that will come up. Both those deals and other deals besides, and David Moyes has said there will be incoming over the next couple of weeks. So whether those two are coming in, we'll find out. But you can listen to the Transfer Insiders with Max Scott and Rory Jennings tonight from 7 o'clock. Before that, Natalie Saw and Gabby Agbon-Lahore will bring you Drive. Still to come with us, Jermaine Defoe joins us for a chat, as do Kane Williamson of New Zealand and Keaton Jennings. They're currently playing for London Spirit in the 100 that got underway last night. They did get beat last night. They got beat really effectively by the Oval team.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
So, we'll whisper that. But anyway, the fellas will join us a little bit later on for chat, and Jermaine. But before that, we're going non-league with the Moose, who took in some proper grassroots FA Cup preliminary round matches last night. So, and it was quite eventful. He'll tell us more about that in a few moments' time. We're here with Toolstation this summer. Shop Toolstation's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Toolstation. Paul Hawksbee and Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT. Off the back of Oliver Antman, the fine Rangers player, had such a good game last night in Europe. We are building the Legion of Sporting Heroes today. I mean, it's basically people with man in their name and the superpower. We've had Sven Botman, and you can make your own mind up what he does. We did like Tim Henman, who was half man, half hen, although we haven't quite worked out what half it is. Where's he going to be more effective? Top half hen, or bottom half, because he'd be laying eggs if we need the eggs.
If the person who sent that in can get back to us and how they feel that would work out.
It's their invention. Hugh Jackman. A celebrity superhero. He's at changing flat tyres. I don't think we're going to get that way with Marvel, are we?
No.
Don't need CGI to change a tyre. Matt in Sale. Thank you, Matt, for that. What else have we got? What about Linesman? Captures badly and makes them stay behind at the scene of the crime to write, I will not do that 100. Yeah, I thought
that could have gone either way.
That could have, that's true. Yeah, that could. All of these could really get us into trouble. We did that one. Daniel Backman. Jamie in Watford. He has invisible hands. Oh, okay. Is that just a bit of a pop at your goalkeeper? I don't know. Go on, keep those coming. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J this afternoon. We got more of those football. Oh, this is a good one. Gareth Jellyman. You could see him in it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, Rich in Stafford. Can turn people into jelly.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
It just does what it says on the tin. I mean, we're not looking for anything complicated.
No,
just Route 1.
It is absolutely Route 1. So, I was looking at the Moose was tweeting away last night because it's proper grassroots. It's FA Cup prelim replay between Ashford Town of Middlesex and Eastbourne Town, of course, of Eastbourne, I'm guessing, unless they've moved. So, but it was eventful. And I thought we might check in with the Moose today because there was a moment in the game where all the lights went out and the referee got pushed over. And it was like a whodunit.
So, normally when a referee falls over or an official, they kind of everyone cheers. Was there almost the cheer when they couldn't see him on
They couldn't see it. It was a really... Anyway, let's talk to the Moose. Hello, Moose.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, we're not too bad, thank you. That particular moment that you managed to send the picture of, the lights go out. Then there's a lot of pushing and shoving with the players. Then we see the referee fall over. And there's this bloke in the background who's S-housing saying, I saw it, ref. It was their 10. It was their 10 who pushed you over, ref. We saw it all. I mean, it looks like he just fell over, Moose. What went on?
It was one of the most bizarre games we've been at. It was actually an extra preliminary round game in the FA Cup. So now Ashford are in the preliminary round against Snodland FC from Kent, which is next Saturday, actually. So what happened was, the reason why the lights went out is quite a bizarre story. These are brand new lights that have been put up at Ashford Town, a club, by the way, right next to Heathrow Airport. There are 3 or 4 clubs in and around the sort of perimeter, or right near the perimeter fence of Heathrow Airport, and Ashford Town is one of them. So you're kind of right by the runway, and all night planes are literally taking off. Was 30 seconds apart. Anyway, so these brand new lights have gone up, but because it's a residential area and it's near the airport, they have to agree that the lights won't be on after 10:30 at night. Now, the referee, for some reason, the game went for extra time. He'd added on quite a bit of time at the end of the game normally, and in 7 minutes, which I don't know where he got, at the end of the first period of extra time, whereby Ashford actually got their winning goal. But what it meant is we went over the 10:30 cut-off.
No.
So the lights instantly were switched off. Nobody at the ground knew why they'd gone off, and they were trying to override it. But as you rightly say, the minute that the lights went off, there was a free-for-all in terms of a brawl amongst the players and what seemed like the staff. And the referee, I don't know what he was doing, but he was walking right by the players. And as some of the Eastbourne Town players sort of moved away to try and sort of avoid being involved in the brawl, they knocked the referee over. But he goes down in installments and then seems to grab his ankle like he's been tackled. It was just hilarious. And as you rightly say, I've got this bloke next to me who wants to get one of the Eastbourne players sent off. So all he's doing is shouting, I saw it, I've got it on camera, it's number 10 for Eastbourne. I'm sort of saying, shut up. And it's like, it was just the most hilarious thing.
Yeah.
So how does it work? So the lights then they were allowed to go back on for another period of time.
Did they have to get a phone call to the council or something to pass it? What happened? Yeah.
Well, they just overrode it to make sure they could put the lights on. I think in extraordinary circumstances, because it's a 3G pitch, it's used every day and used sort of morning, noon, and night. So what they don't want are people sort of on there after 10:30 at night, 'cause it's not fair to the residents. Not that having 747s and A380s flying over your house. Really, I mean, what's worse, that noise of that or a few floodlights being on? But anyway. They've agreed to turn them off at 10:30, so it's on this sort of switch that turns everything off at 10:30. But of course, last night everybody was 226 or whatever who were in the ground, and of course the players and everyone are still there after 10:30. But the lights went out; they didn't know that, so it had to be overridden by somebody. And I think I've spoken to people at the club after the game last night. They're going to have a sort of if for exceptional circumstances, a way of making sure the lights don't go off on their own accord at 10:30. It just added to the drama of it all, though.
Yeah. And also, before the game, you were told by the powers that be at Ashford that they did the best burger in non-league football. So you were duty bound to put that to the test, I see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have this everywhere I go. People go, the groundsman always come up to me, look at my pitch, isn't it the best you've ever seen? Yes, mate, it's the best you've ever seen. I've never seen grass growing quite the same way you've done it. Amazing. And I normally get chairman and what have you, or people that I know at the club who come up to me and say, oh, you must try our burgers. Come on, we'll get you a burger. It's the best burger you'll ever taste. And in most cases, they're actually just pretty ordinary. Right. But apparently, there's some, I don't know who it is, somebody who is an influencer, because everybody these days is an influencer.
Speak for yourself.
An influencer on TikTok has been round several non-league grounds, sort of, sampling burgers and pints of lager.
I bet it gets the numbers up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it's just a great way to get free burgers and pints.
Yeah,
I think so. Anyway, so the chairman comes up to me and says, right, we've been told we've got the best burger. And I have to be honest, it was magnificent.
Oh, wow.
It tasted freshly cooked, not like when you go to sort of most of the grounds these days where it's mass-produced for thousands of people and it looks like it's
not with 226, that kind of helps, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
A bit of old
it actually tasted magnificent, so I will award them at the moment, because it's only the third game I've been to this season, I will award them the best non-league burger I've had at a non-league ground this season, absolutely.
Fantastic. You're on the racing today, is that right? Are you racing today, Moose, or not?
No, I'm going to Arsenal against Villarreal, which is a pre-season friendly. Talk about differences. Last night I was at Ashford Town against Eastbourne Town, watching that in front with another 220 odd people. Tonight I don't know how many are going to be at the Emirates, so I presume it's going to be fairly sold out. Because,
are you going along, Alex?
No, I'm not. It's actually it's a sellout. Your season ticket doesn't cover the pre-season friendlies. But by the way, mate, do not have a burger at the Emirates tonight. After the one you had last night, it will be such a disappointment.
Are they no good?
No, do not get. I mean, they're terrible. The food at Arsenal's absolutely terrible.
Blimey.
It is. In the media bit, it's nice, but in the fans, it's
not stunning and not cheap either.
No,
okay,
it's
well, there we are.
absolutely
Pull your
rubbish.
finger out, Arsenal. One of your paying customers not massively impressed. So regular updates from you into the transfer insiders, Moose, I take it, yes?
Yeah, 6 o'clock kickoff. So for the last hour of drive and the first hour of kickoff, absolutely, it'll be updates from Arsenal against Villarreal. So chance to see Victor Gyökeres's first game at the Emirates.
We'll hear from you later. Cheers, Moose. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, take care.
Ian Abrams there taking a bit of grassroots, and now he's off to the Emirates. Well, that's impressive. A 6 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, nice one.
Yeah. It was quite funny with Arsenal when they announced a new beer partnership with Guinness before Gyökeres. So
did they?
Yeah, but I don't know what that will do to the halftime queues, as you know. I don't know what it's like at Tottenham, but any club you go to for beer at half time, its queues are ridiculous.
Yeah,
throw Guinness into the mix.
We've got because we got a lot of bars. And so to be honest, it's pretty good. You can get a drink at half time. You have to queue a bit, but it is not ridiculous. It's not like it used to be. The Legion of Sporting Heroes. Sean says Don Goodman. He's good. Well, thank you, Sean. But the best one so far, you can, as he wrote it down, he thought, "What's it going to be?" Steve McManaman turns a man into a man. That's the sort, Chris. That's the sort of thing a 3-year-old says. Dad, who's Steve McManaman? He turns a man into a man.
It says a lot about me that I really enjoyed it.
That is,
it's my level.
Sadly, that is the best one we've had. Well done, Steve. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. The Legion. This is off of Ant-Man, of course. Rangers' new player from the Legion of Sporting Heroes. talkSPORT.com. Text 81089. Tweet TSH and J. 03717 223344.
Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know, here's the tale. Tennis has its roots in 12th century France when people used to make balls from all sorts. Cork, wool, chalk, animal fur and even human hair. Uniformity was found centuries later when people started making balls out of something called vulcanized rubber, invented in the US. But the balls kept on breaking, so a British lawyer, who also loved tennis, suggested they put a flannel covering on the outside, and thus the tennis ball as we know it was born. One problem, it was either white or black. And when the controller of BBC Two, Sir David Attenborough, decided Wimbledon would be shown in colour on the BBC in 1967, no one could actually see the balls on telly. So the International Tennis Federation went away and created a new colour called Optic Yellow, which would show up without the need for a 4K LED display. Not that anyone had that in the 1960s, of course. Since then, all tennis balls have been covered in that material and have their trademark colour for that exact reason. Amateur tennis players and dogs worldwide are forever grateful. You could say the ITF aced it.
Yes, Paul Hawksbee Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT, and we'll catch up with Jermaine Defoe a little bit later on. Keaton Jennings and Kane Williamson hopefully joining us for a chat in a few moments' time. Plenty of cricket to talk about. We asked about first dates, Alex. It was talk about Ashford Town, this one in Kent back in the day, where Alex, was he 12, 13?
13,
yeah, went on a first date with a girl, walked around Ashford Town Centre, the bright lights, went to Mackie D's and thought, the evening is still young, let's go and watch Ashford Town. And that was the end of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very quickly.
Russell of Ruislip, he says, in the early 80s I took my then new girlfriend, now wife, okay, spoiler alert, to watch her first Brentford game. I said, it's a really friendly club and there's never any trouble. We were playing Bristol City. About 10 minutes into the game, a mad Bristol City fan ran out of the away end and jumped in amongst the Brentford fans. Some of the Brentford fans took exception to this, and it was a right tear-up.
Okay.
He eventually staggered back over the barrier, looking none too good. My girlfriend looked shocked, but still comes to Brentford games 40 years on, having changed allegiances from Fulham. You don't do that, dear. That is love.
That is
beautiful.
A lot nicer experience at Brentford now.
I'm sure. The Legion of Sporting Heroes, a posthumous one here. Shame that we couldn't bring in Bert Troutman, who would run around it in the opposition round the face with a big wet fish, which would look funny. Ant the Gardener in Elstead, that's very true. talkSPORT, and with Michel Agerman. Much like the Hulk, you wouldn't like it when it gets aggy. That's like that. It's good to be able to bring one of the Lionesses into it. Thank you very much, Steve, for that. talksport.com/H&J. You can text to 81089 or you can tweet to TSH&J. I was reading that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's leaving Besiktas.
Okay.
And, it hasn't been the greatest move for him. I don't know where he's likely to end up next. Apparently Leeds are showing an interest in him, they say. But in his time there, 2023 he went there, 5 goals, 1 assist. He had 50 games. And I remember in his pomp, when he was very young, going to an England game when he was in the England team and sitting with his dad. I just happened to sit next to his dad, Alex, at the game. And it was just, everything was just going right for him. You know, he was fit and he was firing, he was playing well. And then he got a bunch of injuries that he never recovered from. Them fine margins.
It was like, I mean, at Arsenal, he was just, he'd get on a run, he'd come back, he'd get going again, and then he'd get injured. And then obviously, he had success when he went to Liverpool. He scored some great goals for them. But again, injuries. And I just think it appears that it might have just taken it out of him a bit.
Yeah. And I often think back to that chatting to Mark that day and thinking, just those sliding doors things, those little things, when you see a player that it's all coming together for him and something like that happens. Big news from the world of fast food, Alex, I can bring you this. Greggs have teamed up with KFC. I mean, other places for your chicken and your sausage rolls are available. They're going to create a sausage roll drenched in gravy. So they're going to trial it in 3 cities, and it struck me. You live in
the KFC involvement is purely gravy.
They supply the gravy. Yeah,
it doesn't feel like the best promo.
It's not the Colonel's toughest gig, really.
It's not a secret blend, is it?
The reason I bring it up is, although you are an Arsenal fan and some from the south, you live in Huddersfield. You live up north.
Yeah, I do.
So gravy being dipped in this, and gravy generally is
gravy on chips and stuff like that. I've never got into it at
really?
all. No. The other one that always struck me is scraps. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, that's a bit of an organism.
It's the stuff that it's the bits that fall off in the pan, and people ask for it as extra on the. Can we just have the bits you can't sell?
Southern Softies, which wouldn't be a great name for one of the 100 franchises, obviously. But anyway, let's return to the world of cricket and big event today. The 100 got underway last night. I slightly whisper it as our next 2 guests join us, because wasn't the greatest opening night for Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings, who join us. Good afternoon, fellas.
Afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, we're good. A tough night, boys. I think it's fair to say last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a tough start. But hopefully gain a little bit of knowledge of our home conditions moving forward, which is important. But and played a really strong team in the Oval Invincibles, who obviously defending champions. So tough start, but a lot of cricket to come.
And Keaton, it isn't Middlesex versus Surrey, obviously, but the fact that you're a Lords team and they're an Oval team, and I'm a Middlesex fan, so it does smart. We should point out that the Spirit Boys, unfortunately, out 80 all out, and Oval Invincibles, knock those off. Yeah,
absolutely. I suppose everybody wants to beat Surrey at the minute, so that feels slightly different. But hopefully next time round we can do them in their backyard as well.
Yeah. Kane, the atmosphere looked really good last night. I mean, that's the thing. That's marked the 100 out. Really, it's just it's a kind of good vibe at the games, isn't it? What did you make of it last night?
Yeah, I mean, incredible. A full house at Lords, on any occasion's a pretty special one. But you see that real buzz around the 100, and for me. Personally, first time sort of being involved as a player, it was incredible to see. And despite the game, hopefully the majority were Spirit fans, but they were still there in big numbers and hung around for a long time after the game and getting autographs and bits and pieces. So it's all a big part of it, and it's great that the tournament started. Everybody's been really looking forward to it, and now we've got pretty much 3.5 weeks of it, I think, every night. So, great time of the year.
And as players, how do you change your approach to the 100 compared to other short forms of cricket?
Good question. No, look, I think every game has little nuances. The 100, you obviously get stuck at one end for a while with 10 balls. But I suppose you learn and adapt, and you kind of bounce ideas off of each other, how best to sort of cope with conditions. So, I think as a first time, it kind of catches you by how quickly it goes as well.
Ken, we're going to have a chat with Jermaine Defoe a little bit later on, but you guys have been you've done a bit of coaching with KP, who are the sponsors, of course, of the 100. And so, what's that been like, working with the footballers today? I mean, most sports people have got good hand-eye, and I think Jermaine plays a bit of golf, so I would imagine he wasn't too bad.
To be fair, I've been in the middle. He was cricket was a lot better than my football, to be fair. No, look, it's been really good fun. Jermaine's been brilliant, bouncing in and around the sort of kids and making sure everyone has a really good time. Yeah, so hopefully everyone walks away from today having a good time.
Yeah, Keaton, you do say on your Twitter bio that you're a really bad footballer. I mean, people don't maybe realise that cricketers often warm up for games with a game of football. So, I mean, are you being a bit tough on yourself, or are you that bad?
Nah, generally my second touch is a tackle. I've spent a lot of time up north to Durham. The boys played football there quite a lot. I was definitely the last pick. But no, look, I mean, the boys absolutely love it. Jermaine is coaching Sunderland at the minute. It was my sort of home team when I was up in the northeast as well. So it's good to see him down.
What about you, Kane? I remember watching some of the Middlesex boys warm up before a T20 game, and I thought, Morgan had a good touch. He looked quite a decent player. It's not a New Zealand game particularly, but what's your football like?
It has its moments. Possibly picked ahead of Keith by the sounds of it, which is good. But often as overseas players in this part of the world, you're a long way down the pecking order of getting selected for warm-up football matches. That's for sure.
Now we've seen a bit of Kane. We've seen a bit of a tweak of Bazball. I mean, I know he doesn't particularly like that, your old teammate Brendan McCullum, but. We've kind of seen it develop, we've seen it evolve, and we've come out of this brilliant test series. I mean, what have you made of it and the job he's done with England as somebody you know so well?
Yeah, I mean, done an amazing job with England, and you can see they're going out and totally committed to what it is they're trying to do and be authentic to who they are as players and as a team. And they've been involved in some incredible series so far, and they've had a lot of success largely. And naturally, as a side, as you keep kind of trying to move in the right direction, you're going to correct and keep improving, and I think that's what we keep seeing. And I mean, it was an amazing series to follow and watch. Two top teams going at it, across 5 test matches, which has been great for the game. But yeah, I think largely really trending in the right direction and playing some exceptional cricket.
Yeah, Keaton, what do you make of the way that the England team has kind of evolved under Ben Stokes? And what's on? You've been hit with a ball.
No, sorry.
Keith is about I'm a foot taller. I'm on my toes trying to stay in shot.
Oh, okay. So what have you made of the evolution of England recently?
Yeah, look, it's been brilliant to see. Obviously, started under Cookie, played under Rooty, toured under Stokesy and Baz, which is awesome. So I think, like Kane said, it's really freed guys up and given them the sort of backing and confidence to go and express themselves and have some fun, really. So look, it's good to watch. As an English cricketer, to see so many people enjoying Test cricket again is fantastic.
And ahead of going into the Ashes this winter, that's the big one. It's all leading up to. How tough is it going to be for England to get something out of that series? Because I see everywhere Australia are pretty much odds on with all the bookies at the moment.
And that's it. Test cricket wise as well, Kane. Now for the boys until they get out and start playing Australia. So a bit of a long gap for them. But how confident you're feeling in England?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could probably do with a bit of a break after what they've just been through. And they'll potentially get a few games of rebel cricket in at the end of the season if they need it. But yeah, I mean, they'll go into it fresh and ready, which is important. And I think they have a fantastic opportunity. I mean, touring Australia is tough for any team to go to. They're a fantastic side, but certainly at home they're very well equipped. And I think it's going to be a great series if all players are fit and well and firing. I think it'll be a great match-up, those two teams in that part of the world. So, yeah, I'll be following from across the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it, Keaton? Everybody fit and firing. We hope Mark Wood's around the bowl. We hope Jofra stays fit. We hope Ben Stokes is all right. There's still question marks there after that shoulder. So that is pretty key, isn't it? If England can go out there full strength, they've got a chance.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got the sort of ingredients to make up a really good competitive Test series from England's point of view. And you've got guys that are keen to do it as well. Woody will bring an amazing energy and a raw pace that I think will go down really well in Australia. Not that I've played much Test cricket out there, but look, knowing Woody, knowing those guys, they'll be good.
Good to talk to you, fellas, and all the best for the rest of the 100. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
There we are. There's Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings. And as a Middlesex fan, let's hope they can put some results together as the tournament continues. So we're going to have a chat with Jermaine Defoe in a few moments' time, who they've been coaching today. So we'll get his take on how well he's done. Talk a bit of football as well, on Son leaving. And he's just been up in the northeast again, a great affinity, of course, with his time at Sunderland. So we'll be chatting about that and their chances for the season that's coming up shortly. We're here with Tool Station, delivering as little as 30 minutes for Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station. Hawksbee Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT. We were chatting to Kane Williamson and Keaton Jennings. They've been doing some cricket coaching today, and amongst the people they have been coaching at Charlton Park with KP Snacks, who are the sponsors of the 100, is the former Spurs, Sunderland, West Ham, England striker Jermaine Defoe. Hi, Jermaine.
How you doing, my man?
Hi, Jermaine. We're good. So the boys say you didn't do too badly. Did you enjoy it? You played much cricket before?
No, I wouldn't say I played much cricket. I remember playing at school. I remember my granddad was a massive cricket fan. Obviously, he's put in the West Indies. It was my St. Lucian background. But yeah, I've got a 6, so I'm happy with that. And like you said, you just mentioned that 100 pitches around the UK and getting people active in the communities. So I thought it was only right. This is the 100th pitch. It was only right that I got a 6. So yeah, I had to produce. Yeah.
It's an area. You're at Charlton Park, and you played at Charlton as a kid, didn't you?
Exactly, yeah. I was at Charlton from, I think, the age of 8, really, until I was 14. Obviously, I signed for West Ham after I left Lillishall at 16. So, yeah, area that I'm obviously familiar with. But it's just, it's just a fantastic, campaign. Everyone, all the families are out, the kids and everyone. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good.
Yeah. Off the back of a test match like that, you can understand the interest. We've had such a great series, and I think, a lot of people want to try a bit of cricket, and they're getting the opportunity to do that today.
Not only today as well, it's all year round, because obviously it's an AstroTurf pitch, isn't it? So it's all year round. They can come out and, like I said, with the families and that, come out and play. And 100 pitches, a lot of pitches, around the UK and that. So yeah, it's getting people active. And you come out and have fun, socialise, communicate. I think it's good for everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd say, Jermaine, that you're saying you did okay, but a 6 is pretty good going, considering you haven't played for a while.
Yeah.
I know. There was a few people that was like, oh, here we go. But I wanted to play a lot longer, to be honest, than that. But sometimes you got to take yourself out your comfort zone. And like I said, I remember playing at school. A lot of it was indoors, but even when I played at school, I remember I loved it. You know what it's like. Once you get the bat, you don't even want to put it down, even when you're out. So yeah, it was really good. And obviously, it was really good to meet the pros as well.
Yeah.
Speaking to different people and different sports and stuff, and I've been invited to a match, so that's something I'm looking forward to.
Night of a night out. Before we talk a bit of Spurs as well, it's interesting times for them off the back of winning a trophy at the end of last season. But new manager, what did you make of the change of manager? There was a fair few people who felt maybe Ange deserved a bit more time, but what was your take on that?
I think Daniel Levy summed it up, really. I don't know if you've seen the interview with Gary Neville. It was quite interesting. I think he summed it up in terms of you have to think big. And I know, obviously, the European trophy was, I think, if you take away the emotional bit about that and think about, obviously, finishing 17th, losing 22 league games out of 38. We're talking about Tottenham Hotspur. It's a massive football club, with great history. You shouldn't be finishing 17th in the Premier League. Let's be totally honest. But, listen, we want to... Ange done what he said he would do in terms of winning a trophy, so he deserves a lot of credit. But then, I think with someone like Thomas Frank coming into the building, he's someone that's well respected in the game. I was lucky enough actually last season. I actually went into Brentford. I was invited in by Justin Cochran, and I spent a day there. And I was in the team meeting, and I watched training. And I was really impressed, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to this season, and I was happy that we appointed Thomas Frank.
Yeah. And now Sonny's moved on, and tonight he's going to be unveiled, as they say, as a new LA player. He's going to be a tough man to replace. I mean, have you thought about who you'd like to see maybe coming in to replace him?
You know what? It's mad that you said that. I actually said that. When you these kind of special footballers, it's so difficult to replace them. It was a special player, a special human being. I'm sure you've heard that a lot from people, and it's definitely the truth. Around the place, the way he conducted himself, the support that he brings with him. I come across him a few times, and the love that I get from him, like genuine love, and just an amazing player. Over 170 goals for Tottenham, European trophy, captain, led by example. He was one of those captains that would scream and shout, but he led by example in how he went about his business every day. So you want to wish him all the best. It'll be strange for him, to be honest. So when you've been at a football club for so long, I went for it a little bit. I was at Tottenham 9 years, and obviously I went to Toronto and that, and then just going to a different dressing room, putting on a different shirt. At first, it feels really strange, but listen, he's still got a lot of goals left in him, and I'm sure these people in the MLS are looking forward to watching such a great player play.
Yeah, the other player they need to possibly deal with at the moment. We don't know how bad James Maddison's injury is, but Kulusevski is injured. Maddison looks like he's going to be out for a while. They're going to need somebody creative. There's been a lot of talk about Eza, Grealish. We're hearing could be off to Everton. Have you thought about who might be who would you like to see come in potentially in that position, Jermaine?
Well, those two names that you just mentioned, obviously we've got the injuries, Kulusevski's like world class for me. Madison, when he stayed the best version of James Madison, just makes things happen in the final third. But I think Eze, like you just mentioned, and Grealish looks like obviously the Everton, he's going to go Everton, and it sort of like makes sense for him. He's got to play football, obviously, and plus he's obviously close to Manchester because obviously his family and stuff like that. So it sort of like makes sense, and it's an amazing football club, new stadium, amazing manager, David Moyes' experience. We'll give him the freedom to go and play and express himself. Eze is someone who, if this makes sense, a Tottenham player, someone that plays with freedom, and you look at the great players over the years that the club have had, technically how good he is and how confident he is, and again, another special footballer. If that can happen, then of course it's only good for the team, because obviously when you get these injuries, especially long-term injuries, you need to obviously replace these players.
But I mean, Son's gone, he's left Jermaine, and maybe, Maddison could be out for a long time. But how do you see Spurs at the moment going into the new season? João Palhinha, I think, is a great signing. Kudus looks like he's going to have an impact as well.
Yeah, João Palhinha is like a top player. He's only going to improve the squad. He's only going to improve the team. Kudus, someone who I've liked for a long time, so even before he went to West Ham. And you've seen in pre-season already what he brings, in terms of how dynamic he is, how strong he is. And I believe, even when he's at West Ham, I still believe that he can do a lot more in terms of goals and assists. So hopefully he'll bring that this season. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see. I think it's important to start well. I know sometimes you can start slow and end up doing well. And I mean, when Nuno was there, we started well and stuff. And then obviously with Ange, I think the first 10 games when he first come in, people talk about Tottenham winning the league. So I think you have to start well and try and maintain it. But, I think with the new signings hitting the ground running, that's important. But I just feel like with this new manager, he would demand that anyway. He will drive those messages with Justin Cochran and the staff that are there every single day. Like the importance of playing for Tottenham, and from what I saw when I went into Brentford, the training and stuff, like first hand and that, he's a top coach.
Oh, that's good to hear as a Tottenham fan. I want to talk Sunderland as well, back in the Premier League. I know you were up there recently. You're still involved with the Bradley Lowry Foundation, and you loved your time up there. I think we just hope they can, from their point of view, buck the trend and stay up and start to consolidate in the Premier League.
Yeah, I know it's not easy, is it? The teams obviously that come up, and it's not easy to stay in the Premier League. I mean, it seems like the hardest league. I mean, it's always been the best league in the world, in my opinion. But like you love to see these teams sort of like come up and stay. Obviously, I know they've spent money, but a sleeping giant. I've always said it. Sunderland, it's a sleeping giant. I think it's a Premier League football club, as well as obviously Leeds, Premier League clubs with massive fan base. When it's going well there, it's a special place to play. If you speak to any player that's played there, when it's going well, it's special. And the fact that these young players get an opportunity to experience that in the Premier League, and I'm really happy for them. I was actually up there yesterday doing some stuff for the Bradley Lowry Foundation actually, and even that sort of like you can sense the excitement about it's not being back in the Premier League and that. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can go to a few games this year, especially Newcastle. I'm looking forward to that. Be on the other side of it and I'll get all the pressure. It should be good.
And just finally, Alex played at Soccer Aid with you the other week, Jermaine, and he said you could have passed it a bit more.
You're lethal. I was saying how lethal you were in training, Jermaine. Every time you get the ball, it's touch at your feet, shot.
I know. Even at Soccer Aid in training, and listen, you can speak to any player that I've played with. They'll tell you. I think they'll laugh if they hear that statement. JD, pass it in the box. I used to shoot and Crouchy used to look at me, and I'd just be like, "Oh, Crouchy, sorry, mate," and he'd be like, "It was the funniest thing." But you know what it's like. Once, listen, even if it was training, I've just always been the same, to be honest. I remember when I was at the school playground, if I didn't score, I'd be sulking all day. And when I was at Tottenham, all the clubs I played for, so just those good habits really never leaves you. So, but I enjoy Soccer Aid. You meet some amazing people, and to be a part of it again this year was really special.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, good to talk to you, Jermaine. Enjoy the rest of your day. All the best. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
There we are. This Jermaine Defoe there. Our thanks to him. Andy Goldstein's going to join us. He said, were you screaming, pass it?
I never got up quick enough with him for him to even be in his eye line. I was very much. But honestly, training every time he got the ball, it's just straight at his feet, bang. Shot, always on target as well.
Yeah, he was some player, absolutely. So, Andy Goldstein looking to get a win over at the Pool Championships over in Florida. We're going to chat to him very, very shortly. Tough first game, but he was up against one of the greats. But he's feeling quietly confident that he can get a win today. We'll chat to him shortly.
Life after football. For a lot of players, it means going into punditry. Some turn to coaching or working in the game in other ways. But what about the rest? Some former footballers turn their sights away from the game, and there are a few big surprises. First up, from rainbow flicks to pancake flips. Ex-Chelsea and Southampton defender Ken Monku switched up his footballing career to buy a Dutch pancake house. He bought out the shop, which had been his favourite pancake spot as a child, and before long he was mixing the batter and getting behind the stove. Next, Everton legend Thomas Gravesen swapped out the high stakes of the Premier League for those of the poker room. He made over 150 appearances for the Toffees and won the Scottish Premier League with Celtic. Turned out the Danish international was pretty darn good at poker. He racked up a reported £100 million from his Las Vegas adventures. Remember former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech? Turns out football nets weren't the only goals he was pretty handy in front of. After retirement, he became a goaltender in ice hockey. Same skills, very different surface. And he even won a Division 2 title with Guildford Phoenix. For ex-Liverpool centre-back Daniel Agger, it wasn't just fancy footwork that was in his blood. He was also pretty good with his hands. The Denmark international turned to tattoo artistry after he hung up his boots. He'd qualified as a skin artist while at Anfield, and he then became the co-owner of his own tattoo company as well. It's not all glamour for ex-pros, though. 1966 World Cup winner Ray Wilson set up a very different kind of business. He became an undertaker after he retired. Finally, not many people can say they've won both a World Cup and starred in an Oscar-winning film. In fact, there's only one person in the entire world who can say that. Frank Leboeuf, the former Chelsea defender, was part of the 1998 France squad who won the World Cup. He ended up marking Brazil's Ronaldo in the final and helped his side to a 3-0 win. But Leboeuf had already begun acting on the side while he was playing football, and his biggest role came some years after his retirement when he landed the part of a doctor in the Stephen Hawking biopic The Theory of Everything.
I embrace the career of acting, so I want to learn more. So seeing lots of movies is a part of my job.
To be honest, with all the dramatic diving in the game these days, there's probably tons of ex-pros who've got the acting skills to make it in Hollywood.
Good afternoon, it is Paul Hawksbee and Alex Brooker here on talkSPORT. We'll have some transfer chat, one that's just gone through. It's been talked about a lot, but Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall has joined Everton from Chelsea. We can confirm that. We'll look at some of the other stories of the day. We're bound to have a Isaac Shesko update, I'm sure. Nathan Salt's going to join us to talk a bit of Wrexham. Kiefer Moore has come in, so how are they feeling at the moment, the Wrexham fans, ahead of the new season? It gets underway at the weekend. And Tim Vickery with the latest from South America. Meanwhile, over in Florida, Andy Goldstein is involved in the Florida Open Pool Championship. He had a very tough first draw. We spoke to him ahead of that. Earl Strickland, one of the greats he was up against. He won a frame, which is pretty good going against one of the greats. And he is hopeful today of getting a result against his next opponent. And let's cross there now. Hi, Andy.
Lads, good morning. Well, good morning for me. Good afternoon to you. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Good,
so what was it like playing against Earl Strickland, the Pearl?
It was, so we spoke before. We didn't speak after. I spoke to Drive after. It was like an honour to play him, right? I said yesterday he was 60, 64. I didn't realise how old he was. And I said yesterday he's a nutcase, and I stand by that. He had a belt on with weights in it all round, like a diver's belt. So when he was going over the table, it would help him balance. He had thicker shoes on so he could get height. He had a cue that was probably about 3 foot, 4 foot longer than the normal cue. So he's got all this stuff going on in his head, but the fact remains, he's still an unbelievable player. It was such a joy to sit there. The thing that annoyed me was that in all my, so this is what my this is my 5th appearance on this tour, and in the other 4 matches I held a good account of myself. I played it all right. Like, I came off losing, but I was like, okay, that's probably the best I could have played, and I lost, so fair play. But yesterday I was going to lose against Earl. I had chances in a lot of the frames, and also the frames were really sticky, so I came off the table and I was really disappointed. Not because I lost, just the manner in which I lost.
Yeah. So who do you play today, and why do you feel a bit more confident?
I play a guy called Craig Lucas, who's not on the tour. This is like an open event, the Florida Open.
Yeah.
So he's a local guy. Apparently comes from Dallas. He's been over here for about 2 years. Used to own a pool hall in Dallas. So he's pretty handy. But he lost yesterday. He played someone, I don't know who he played, but he lost 9-1 as well.
Okay.
So it's like, it's the battle of the losers today. But the fact that he got smashed to pieces yesterday against someone I've never heard of, and I got smashed to pieces against one of the greatest. I'm going into this one not only very confident, Paul, but also I've got a few texts from my mates that are watching, and they kept saying, pull your trousers up, because they were falling down. So I was wearing dinner suit trousers,
right?
And it didn't have a belt. And so I spoke to Emily at Matchroom, and I said, look, can I just put like a pair of joggers on, a pair of trainers on, and play in what I play when I practice? And she said, do what you want. And so I said, okay, fine. So I've got my Darren Bent trainers on.
Nice.
I've got me baggy trousers on. And I've been practicing this morning. I've been playing really, really well. So I'm really confident. I'm really confident this afternoon. It's all about that first win.
You can tell he's getting old because he can only play in his comfortable trousers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it means going home to get my PE kit, I'll happily play in my pants and my vest if it means getting a win this afternoon. Whatever it takes, boys.
So you've not been tempted to go with a weighted belt, Andy?
Yeah. Maybe that's the secret.
Just any belt would have done actually yesterday. To be fair, my weight distribution over the table is not the problem I have. It's potting some balls, but I fancy it today. The only downside will be that if I win today, I'll be back on a bit later on. I'll be back on. So I play at 4 p.m. your time, which is 11, and so it'll probably be about 3 hours later that I'll play my next match. The only downside is myself and Ryan Bryan, who's behind the camera, we're meant to be going to Epcot later on this afternoon, and then we've got Hollywood Studios, and then we're going to smash Universal tomorrow. So the only downside of winning is it does muck up our plans for the rest of the day.
Okay, well, you've got to weigh these things up, haven't you? Buy him an ice cream. He's only a young lad. Enjoy. We're going to watch you at 4 o'clock, aren't we? Going to watch you at 4 o'clock on the YouTube channel.
Paul, let me just say, right, and I said this yesterday, I hadn't come here and travelled 10,000 miles or whatever it is. Is it more or less than 10,000? No one really knows how far America is, but anyway.
Slightly less, yeah.
I haven't travelled all that way in first class to make a fool of myself. Yesterday, no good. Today, it's all about that first win. Look, how ironic, Oasis playing in the background. It's like it's meant to be.
That's it.
Right?
There we are.
I'm free to do whatever I want. Whatever I choose. I don't know the other lyrics. But today's the day where it happens, Paul.
Fantastic.
Mark my words. The big W, the win. It's what it's all about. I know you desperately want me off air now, because when you go fantastic, it's like you want to get
fantastic.
me off. I'm not ready to go yet, Paul. All right. This is the one. Do not miss it. Live on Drive at 4 o'clock.
Nice one.
Hope the joggers bring you luck, mate.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andy. Cheers. Andy Goldstein. You can watch him at 4 and he'll pop up on Drive. And he's going to Epcot with his friend Ryan.
Yeah.
So what a tough
Sounds
life.
like he's got a packed schedule.
It does, yeah. Have a go on the swings. So, Ben Jacobs joined us later on. Look at the transfer stories. Before that, though, Tim Vickery. He was with us in the studio last week. He's heading home to Brazil, but he'll bring us all the latest in the world of South American football in a few moments' time. We're here with Tool Station. This summer, shop Tool Station's award-winning Hawksmoor lawnmower range in-store, on the app and online. Next stop, Tool Station. Yes, he was with us here in the smoke last week, but he's back in Brazil now. It is our South American correspondent, Tim Vickery. Good afternoon, Tim.
Afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. Now, you left us last week saying that the women's game, the Copa America women's game, Feminina, was just around the corner. You expected Brazil to get it done, but it was dramatic stuff, Tim, in the end, wasn't it?
It was extraordinarily dramatic. It's unbelievably dramatic. It was heart-stoppingly dramatic. Colombia are pushing Brazil all the way. And it was full of ebbs and flows. Brazil were in front, Colombia in front. Colombia had effectively won the game because we've played 96 minutes and they are winning 3-2. Cometh the hour, cometh the martyr. The greatest player ever to play the women's game. And with this just stupendous shot from outside the area, in the 96th minute, she equalises 3-3. Into extra time we go. Marta puts Brazil in the lead. Cross from the left. Now, remember, she's left-footed. And it looks like she's going to head it. And at the last minute, she thinks, no, it's just dropping from your right. So she scores a goal with her right foot. 4-3. Looks like she's won the title. And then right at the end of extra time, fantastic free kick from Colombia, 4-4, into penalties we go. And what happened in penalties was just like what had happened in the game. Ebbs and flows. First Colombia ahead, then Brazil are ahead. And Marta, with the 5th penalty, now has the chance to win the title, to close out the game. And what does she do? She misses. So on we go into more sudden death penalties, and in the end, it's Brazil who come through. It's the Brighton centre-back, Caribali, who gave away a penalty in the game, who has a penalty saved. So Brazil win on penalties, just like England won on penalties. And now they will meet next year. They haven't set a date yet, either March or October, I'm led to understand, in what is called the Finalissima, between the winners of the Champions of Europe and the Champions of South America. Last time round, it was also England versus Brazil, and England won on penalties. So there's a lot of penalties deciding titles in women's football, but it was a cracking end to a competition. Cracking, and probably a better end than the competition deserved, because in comparison with the Euros, you know, a lot of the games were played in front of 300 fans. And you look at the program, women's football has made progress in South America. It's great that there is now a game with some edge in it, that Brazil are being pushed. They've won all the Copa Americas that have ever been played apart from one. But you look at the progress that's been made in Europe, and unfortunately South America finds it very hard to compete, you know, because there aren't many countries taking it as seriously. There isn't the market for it. But who knows? The next World Cup in just over 2 years' time, September of 27, will be in Brazil, and that's a fabulous opportunity to sell the sport.
Absolutely.
What now for Marta, Tim? Because she came out, she retired from international football, and she came back for this tournament. So do you think she'll carry on now with the World Cup in 2 years' time?
How can you resist?
Yeah.
It's a World Cup at home. She's never won it. So, you know, how can you say no to something like that? And also, what I think is important is that she's quite happy to be on the bench. You know, she's quite happy to be the wise old owl. And, you know, so she can do that role in 2 years' time, when I think it will be really important. There's a good little debate going on at the moment, because, you know, is Neymar going to be recalled to the Brazilian side? He had a good game on Monday, scored a couple of goals, one from the penalty spot and one well taken. Is he going to get back in for Brazil? And then, could they possibly put him on the bench? You know, I've done TV over here where people are saying, no, we're not mature enough. We can't put Neymar on the bench. Well, Messi has come off the bench for a couple of games in Argentina in these World Cup qualifiers. Yeah. Marta does it for Brazil very, very happily. Why not Neymar for the men's side? So once again, Marta stands out as a shining example of the lack of ego and putting the needs of the team before the needs of herself.
Now, some transfer stories. West Ham fans will be interested to know what you make of the man with two first names, John Victor, their new goalkeeper. Apparently, his last game for Botafogo, he had a bit of a wreck in that one. Wasn't his finest hour. Maybe he was a bit nervous. But what's the story around him?
Yeah, first of all, you love to invent the second names for him. And the fellow, the wonderful fellow who's just joined Chelsea, Estevão. You like calling him Estevão William. He's never been called this here. John Victor. Where's this Victor come from?
Well, it's what he's calling himself.
Victor?
He's calling himself John Victor.
Yeah, no, over here he's just John, and
Just
they
John.
got it right.
Just-
as well.
just John.
Just John down the pub.
Indeed, the Colombians love a John, but they don't really know where to put the H. They know there's an H in there somewhere,
Yeah.
so they'll just throw it in.
Yeah.
But this fella, he knows where the H goes. Yes, I like him very much. It's Brazil is producing so many good goalkeepers. And he's a typical one off the block in that he's tall, athletic, lithe. Botafogo, whose scouting is superb, and they picked him up. He was in the Spanish second division with Valladolid, brought him back last year, and in the side last year that won the Brazilian League and the South American Champions League, he was terrific. He had a really good Club World Cup as well. There's a real going around, I think, of his mistakes, but you could do that with any goalkeeper. You know, it's a bit cruel, that one. You're saying that the fans turned against him. I think they're against him because he wants out, because he's going, you know. He made a little bit of a mistake, and he kind of clapped ironically to the crowd afterwards, you know, when they started to get on his back. And that just made things worse for him. So it's hard for him to stay. It looks like they're getting back Neto from Bournemouth. You know, he's been at Barcelona, Bournemouth, now Botafogo.
Right.
He's doing the alphabet very slowly there. So you know, they've already lined up a veteran. I think John will give West Ham very good service, with just the initial caveat that I'm not sure he's got the language, and defending is obviously a collective task, so he's going to have to communicate with his defence and so on. So maybe you need a little bit of time to get up to speed on that. But so in terms of his goalkeeping ability, I think he's going to be a good buy for him.
I mean, he's going to get neck problems, because if you're walking down Stratford High Street and someone goes, John! I mean, it's a lot of Johns in East London.
That out in the crowd.
He's going to be turning around every 5 minutes. John. Anyway, Darwin Núñez. It looks like he's off to Al Hilal. The reports here that the Liverpool have agreed a fee, and he's moving on. They're taking a bit of a hit on him. I think there's some extras in there, but so he's 3 years at Liverpool coming to an end.
Well, what we don't know yet is what he wants. And this is interesting. And it's, you know, does he want to go to Saudi? We haven't heard that one yet. And I think, gentlemen, there's the perfect solution here. Couldn't be better. Why not? Isak comes to Liverpool, Darwin Núñez and some cash go to Newcastle. The Newcastle fans, they'd like the cash.
Yeah.
And I think they'd really like Darwin as well. I think he's... I would be very sad to see him go, to see him leave the Premier League. Because he's always 100%. And something's always going to happen. And I think he's exactly the kind of player, because he doesn't know how to do 99%. He really doesn't. You know, he's full on. And I think he's exactly the type of player that Newcastle fans would really, really respond to. So I'm hoping, maybe hoping against hope, that the last minute he'll put his foot down and say, no, I don't want this Saudi. I want to go to Newcastle. You send me one way, Isak can come the other, and everyone's happy. Surely that's win-win. Do you agree with me?
Well, I don't know. I think if you're a Newcastle fan, I don't know how you'd feel. If he was coming, his chances to goals, he gets in good positions. Even when he gets good service, he'll often miss. I mean, he has scored some good goals, but there have been times when he really should have done better in front of goal. So I think that would be a concern for Newcastle fans.
Confidence, surely. Confidence. Maybe it all weighed on him a little bit at Liverpool. Give him a fresh start. Give him a black and white stripe. Wind him up and let him go.
If that ever happened, it'd be interesting to see what sort of cash would go in with Núñez.
Yeah.
Because this deal for what is Al Hilal about 45, 50 mil?
They reckon with all the add-ons, it's about 50, 56, 57 potentially. So, I mean, if they want to get what they want, Newcastle, that's 100 million quid and Darwin Núñez. I think they wouldn't mind that, Newcastle.
I think we seem to be concluding here that the transfer fee of Darwin hasn't really showed much of an evolution.
No, hey, there we are.
Oh.
And I'd normally say on that bombshell, but I've got another question for you. Rodrigo, there's reports out of Spain saying that Tottenham are showing an interest and might meet the transfer fee. They might meet the transfer fee. They won't even touch the side of the wages. I mean, he's on about 350 grand a week. I don't know anybody. I mean, Alex and I were talking about it earlier on. Apparently Arsenal showed an interest. I mean, unless Real Madrid are going to pick up 2/3 of the wages, where's he going to move to apart from Saudi?
Yeah, it is the Real Madrid quandary, isn't it? Where do you go afterwards? You know, if you don't want to go downhill, I suppose, Paul, that we could argue that the only place he could go where he's not moving downhill would be the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. But I would love to see it. I honestly would, even if it's the other end of the Seven Sisters Road, because I think he's such a good player. But I think he suffered from Real Madrid signing Mbappe. I don't know if you saw Jude Bellingham last season saying, Rodrigo's the most talented of all. And he's the one who has to sacrifice the most. And there's a sense, I think, that he's been a prisoner of his own versatility, because he can play anywhere across the attacking line. And he doesn't really want to be restricted to wide right. Now, so far with Xabi Alonso, he didn't play very much in the Club World Cup. When he did start, he was playing wide right. So I wonder if over the remainder of this month that he's going to gauge where do I fit in Xabi Alonso's plans? Because the word is that he doesn't want out of Real Madrid, that he wants to stay and be important at Real Madrid. But let's see, because over the next few weeks, he could come to the conclusion that he's not going to have the role at Real Madrid that he wants. And surely he could go anywhere else and be king of the hill and have the attack built around him and operate wherever he wanted. And there's only really the Premier League where he can do that. And if that means that he has to take a bit of a wage cut to do it, Ferrari dealers might be crying, but surely he can survive on that. So I think a move for him, I think it would be terrific. A move for him to the Premier League, I think that potentially it could be very good for him. Fantastic for the Premier League and good for the Brazilian national team as well. So let's see with this one. I think this potentially it could be one of the nice little Brazilian soap operas going on in the transfer window.
Nice one, Tim. We'll catch up with you next week. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Look forward to it. Cheers.
Tim Vickery there with all the very latest from South America. Very interested on Rodrigo, and that was some reports out of Spain. But I mean, would you like him?
I'd love him at Arsenal, but those wages. I mean, as a Spurs fan, how would you feel if all of a sudden Daniel Levy starts going, do you know what, we'll drop 350 grand on wages.
That's almost 3 players' wages at Tottenham.
He's never going to do that.
And also, you can't bring a player in on that sort of money. Then everybody else is crime foul, aren't they? So, we'll see. So we're going to talk transfers a little bit later on. We're going to talk Wrexham next, though, and they're preparing for life in the Championship. I saw one of the prediction, the Opta supercomputer says they're going to finish 21st. So there is a feeling they could have a tough old season. So is that fair? We'll have a chat with Nathan Sort from the Rob Ryan Red podcast and get his thoughts, see how he's feeling. I mean, Kiefer Moore's the latest to come in. They've made some good signings.
I think they've signed 8 players, and they're all of, Josh Windass is a good player. I'm surprised the supercomputer. It always comes out, doesn't it?
Been on the lash, hasn't it, the old Opta supercomputer? Anyway, we'll find out more shortly.
It's not often you associate fan power with Chelsea Football Club, but one of the shining examples of it lies with a group called the Chelsea Pitch Owners. And they've proved to be the thorn in the side of owners past and present who've been dead set on moving stadiums to a larger, more lucrative piece of land. Essentially, the supporters group holds the freehold to the land on which Stamford Bridge sits. Former owner Ken Bates set it up at a time where some unruly property developers tried to evict the club from their ground. In order to prevent this, he established the CPO as a company that owned the pitch and offered the fans the chance to buy a share for £100. As well as that, they also own the rights to the name Chelsea Football Club, so if any owner wants to take them elsewhere, they can't be called Chelsea without the approval from the CPO. Now, in 2011, Roman Abramovich tried and failed to move them away from Stamford Bridge, and this has set a precedent for Todd Bowley and the current power brokers at Chelsea. They know any plan which involves moving from Stamford Bridge will require CPO approval from the now 13,000 fans who own it. There are fans who are concerned that if they stay at the bridge, they'll be left behind their domestic and European rivals who are moving to more commercially successful stadiums. But for the heritage and history lovers, Stamford Bridge is one of the iconic English stadiums, and to move away would be a grave mistake. It might not be as flashy as others, but stadiums like it have something about them that cannot be replaced. One thing's for sure, if Bowley wants to take Chelsea away from their home, he'll have to go through the CPO first.
Just looking at some pictures of Arsenal fans outside the Emirates. They play Villarreal tonight, and the Moose is going along the game, and he'll keep you in touch with that. And it's a 6 o'clock kickoff, so the last hour of driving into Transfer Insiders. New Awaker, I hadn't seen it. A white shirt.
Yeah, white fur shirt. You wouldn't think that. I love it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think Arsenal fans would enjoy a white shirt, but it's.
I can't remember you've had one before, but you have.
Yeah, we did. We had one in like 2008. We had like a white and maroon one. The one thing Arsenal are consistent in is their merch.
Yeah,
I would say they do good merch.
Better than their burgers, by the sound of it, from what you said earlier.
No, they're consistently bad.
Oh, okay. Now, we're your home of the EFL and, here on talkSPORT, and among the games we bring you this weekend, 12:30, Wrexham's return to the Championship. They go to St Mary's to take on Southampton, much fancied this season to bounce straight back. But what of Wrexham? What's the expectation of the fans as they return to the Championship? They've made some good signings, and from what Phil Parkinson's been saying, there could be more to come in. Let's take the pulse of the fan base, shall we? From the Rob Ryan Red podcast, a man we've often turned to on their rise through the leagues, a man that's been often told by Charlie Baker, yeah, it's all right getting out of the National League, won't be so easy in League Two. Oh, okay, you got out of League Two, but you won't find it so easy in League One. I think he's given up now, right, Nathan? Nathan Sort joins us. Are you, Nathan?
How you doing?
Yeah, he was always happy to lecture you on that when he tell you you'd reached your ceiling, and sure enough, you find yourself in the Championship. So, how are you feeling going into this? We were just chatting about what would constitute a good season for Wrexham because it's been amazing. And would you take sort of mid-table consolidation in this first season back?
I would, but I got shouted at when I said the C word to Rob McElhenney, so I'm not allowed to say consolidation again. Apparently he hates that word. He doesn't use that word. He hates that word.
Wow.
And of all the curse words you could use, that seems to be the one that bugs in the
Drop
most.
the C-bomb to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, drop the C-bomb. When I told my parents I dropped the C-bomb to Rob McElhenney, they were horrified, and then I just said, no, it was consolidation 14th. Right. So I just think, look, Wrexham are telling targets. I know this from speaking to people in and around some of the deals. This is a 2-year plan to get to the Premier League, they believe, which is hugely ambitious when you think, like you say, it's been back-to-back promotions. They made a play to get Christian Eriksen. That kind of showed you the level of money they were willing to shell out. And, before you went to break, I was laughing to myself listening to this supercomputer that I think is still using floppy disks because, every year they say we're going to go down and we're going to finish 21st and 20th, and yet we're going and signing Josh Windass, who I think is a brilliant championship player. Lewis O'Brien is a bona fide championship player. Kiefer Moore, bags of experience. I mean, look, last season defensively we had Arthur Okonkwo, who was at Arsenal as a youngster. He's been fabulous for us. Max Kluwert's come through the academy. We've got a lot of talent, and every time I hear these predictions about Wrexham, I just think it's people like Charlie that want it to go wrong so that I have to come on and be in floods of tears. I just think people predict with Wrexham because they are jealous that it's going so well for us. So, yeah, do I think we'll go back to back? Probably not, but I don't see us anywhere near the bottom either.
I mean, they've made a lot of signings, as you mentioned, Nathan. Do you think they still need a bit more, though? We were just saying that Phil Parkinson said that there could be more faces through the door. Do you feel like they need a little bit more if they're going to push on again to the next level?
And in what positions, maybe, Nathan? Where do you think they're a bit weak, possibly?
Well, look, I mean, Kieran McKenna spoke today to say that Nathan Broadhead has told Ipswich he wants to go to Wrexham. Let me go to Wrexham. Wrexham have agreed a deal there, $7.5 million, but McKenna just won't give that the green light. Amari Hutchinson could leave. They've already lost Delap. This Chuba Akpom situation's in the balance. Nathan Broadhead is a player that Wrexham would pay $7.5 million for. That'd be double Wrexham's transfer record. That is big money for another Welsh international. I just think they probably need another player at centre-back. Connor Cody's a great buy, but really the depth there is not amazing. And I don't know, I'm just greedy. I just want as many new players. The issue is, I think, that, you could talk about back and the culture they've been able to establish and keep a lot of the same players and add to it. This is like reconstructive surgery. This is a major operation to rip up the team and have 7-8 new starters. So, yeah, Wrexham probably do need a bit more, but I wouldn't be too worried now if we waited until January, and just see where we are to maybe plug gaps that we might have.
Do you think they'd like a bit of a Welsh core? Is that something that the owners would like to do? Would they like to bring in more Welsh players, ideally?
For sure. I think that's clearly been a key part of the ethos this summer in terms of who they've targeted. They're looking at a season-long loan deal for Liverpool youngster Lewis Kumas, another Welsh international. And it was very funny when that one kind of came about, and all my group chats were chatting that Lewis Kumas has some family that run a chippy nearby in Boris, and so people were saying that there might be deals on at the chippy if Lewis Kumas ends up back at Wrexham. So we've all got our priorities in order, I think, which is the main thing here. But clearly they are targeting a Welsh core because, whether this makes an impact or not, Wrexham want to bring more games out of South Wales into North Wales, more Welsh national team games. And Craig Bellamy having to make a lot more trips to North Wales, I think, would be a good way to show him, look at what we're doing with this new stand that's going to be 7,500. We've got all these bold plans. We can host international football. It doesn't just have to be Cardiff and Swansea. And I think having a contingent of Welsh players is a good way to kind of try and twist the manager's arm, I think.
Yeah, they'll take their allocation as well, Alex. I would imagine, the Wrexham fans will travel. It's very exciting for them, and it's probably good for some of those teams that maybe don't always get a full contingent in the away end, because I think you'll travel in numbers this season.
Yeah, although I was kind of hoping that the food and everything would get a lot better as we went up the leagues, but based on Arsenal's burger situation, by the sounds of it, I'm a bit worried now about these championship concourses. I don't know what's going on. No, but we're really excited. I mean, to go to Southampton, I don't think the players will be showing the level of respect that maybe the fans are to these teams, but people are talking about, I can't wait to go to Ipswich, or I can't wait to go to Southampton or Norwich, and almost every team friends of mine are rattling off are ex-Premier League teams. and we're Wrexham. So it's going to be an amazing season until we lose, and we'll probably have a massive meltdown on social media, and the podcast will be me ranting about changing the players. But until then, it's all rosy, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I mean, it's been an amazing journey for Wrexham so far. Yeah. But even when you got out of the National League into League Two and League Two again into League One, did you always have faith that, we're going to keep going up? Could you imagine a trip to Southampton on the opening day of a championship season?
No, I didn't think we would go straight out of League One, to be honest. And that was, and I kind of said to someone internally at the club when I went on, I just got back not long ago from the Australia and New Zealand tour, and I sort of half joked to them, I didn't think we were that good last season, really. We didn't score a lot of goals, we didn't create many chances, but we're just efficient and you're hard to beat. And people like James McLean are like Rottweilers, Josh Windass, really just tough players to play against when it's November, December, and you're just grinding out games Tuesday night and Fridays and Saturdays and Thursdays, all these night games now that Wrexham will have. And I just think we're really hard to beat, and we're stubborn, and that's helped us get up the leagues. But look, I've said every time I come on that the National League promotion was the sweetest one. That was everything, meant everything to the fan base after 15 years there. This is the one now, the Championship to the Premier League, the biggest jump, really.
Yeah.
If and when we ever achieve that, I think that's the only thing that can match or top it. So I'm just thoroughly excited, and you kind of want to see how you'll stack up. I think Southampton will be right up there, as you mentioned. Everyone thinks they're going to go straight back up. So let's see. No one will give Wrexham much of a chance, but we'll soon find out at St Mary's.
Yep, excellent. Well, we'll let you go and unplug the Opta supercomputer, Nathan, and we'll catch up with you during the season, I'm sure. Thanks very much.
Cheers, Nathan.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Nathan Salt there from the Rob Ryan Red podcast. I mean, I think when we first spoke to Nathan, that's when the new owners came in, just at that moment, and how he felt about it, and there was a little bit of a worry, a bit of suspicion about what their intentions were, but when they realised they were for real, and it's very interesting, like having chatted to him on a pretty regular basis since then. What an amazing story it's been. But
if they're willing to pay $7.5 million for a player, it shows that they're all in.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, it all gets underway for you. We got Birmingham versus Ipswich, our first game on Friday evening. Saints Wrexham, Coventry Hull is over on talkSPORT 2, 12:30 on Saturday. Adrian's around the grounds on game day. We've also got the Baggies versus Blackburn at 3 o'clock on talkSPORT 2. Sheffield United Bristol City at 5:30 on talkSPORT 2. And Leicester Sheffield Wednesday on Sunday. And we'll also bring you the Community Shield between Liverpool and Palace on Sunday as well. So football very much back well and truly on talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2 this weekend. We're talking transfers to wind things up ahead of Drive. We're here with Toolstation, delivering as little as 30 minutes for Fast Track. Next stop, Toolstation. So time to look at some of the transfer stories of the day, and there's been some breaking news this afternoon. We'll cover that ground as well with transfer expert Ben Jacobs. Hi, Ben.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, thank you. So this Jack Grealish story seems to have built a bit of pace, doesn't it, Alex, since we've been on here? Everton apparently having conversations with City about Grealish. What do we know?
Yeah, we knew actually 6 weeks or so ago that Everton were interested in a loan for Jack Grealish. But at that point, of course, Manchester City were keeping their options open. Now we're heading into a situation, I suppose, like when Calvin Phillips went on loan for Manchester City, where it might suit both Manchester City and Grealish to do a loan. Grealish's priority is to play regularly because as much as it may seem that he's kind of shut out from opportunities at Manchester City, he's still very much in Thomas Tuchel's plans ahead of the World Cup. So I think Grealish is open to Everton. These talks between Everton and Manchester City started early last month, and they've been picked up in the last 24 or 48 hours. But what complicates it is the fact that Manchester City are still leaning towards a permanent exit. So if it's a loan, they would ideally like an obligation. And then Grealish's wage as well, which would have to drop significantly. Otherwise, Everton might not be able to pull the deal off. But Everton are working on this one. Some suggestions in the last 24 hours that Tottenham have made an inquiry as well, again around a loan with a buy option. What we learned from Spurs sources earlier in the window was that they were not moving for Jack Grealish, but obviously Son has departed to LAFC. James Maddison is now injured. We wait and see the severity of that. So could Tottenham come into the mix here as well? At the moment, no indication that they're advancing, but they made an informal call to understand the situation. And this is going to be key to everything. Do Manchester City sanction a loan? If so, Everton are prepared to move ahead. If they don't, then suddenly there's a much smaller pool of suitors that can essentially afford Jack Grealish.
Yeah. We were chatting, weren't we, Alex, to Tim Vickery earlier on, and the word out in Brazil is that although Liverpool have agreed a fee with Al Hilal, the player is still undecided about whether he wants to go there.
Yeah, I think undecided is maybe a little bit too strong because Darwin Núñez opened the door to Saudi Arabia in January when it was Al Hilal that made an offer, 70 million euros then. And at the time, it was Liverpool that said, we run our data and we think he's more valuable to us to get the Premier League win over the line. So they kept Darwin Núñez, but he was actually very open to Saudi mid-season and once again is now in advanced talks. And my understanding is there's no guarantee that Darwin Núñez will be part of the Community Shield. What may happen is this could linger on, and then Liverpool's plan, as they showed in pre-season as well, is they'll keep playing Núñez because he got 5 goals in pre-season. But there's also a chance that in the next kind of 12 to 24 hours, this turns from advanced talks to a done deal on the player side. And then Liverpool are prepared to finalise this transfer very quickly. We've heard reports in the last 24 hours that a full club-to-club agreement is in place. My understanding is that verbally, yes, there is some substance to that now, but the fixed fee is really only the thing locked at the moment, and Liverpool are still waiting to see whether a formal offer from a kind of verbal agreement arrives and matches their expectations from conversations that have been led by Richard Hughes. 53 million euros plus add-ons. We don't yet know the final amount, and at the moment Liverpool are waiting to see whether Nunez agrees today. If he does so, he'll say his goodbyes tomorrow, and he'll go before the Community Shield for a medical in Germany. If he takes a bit more time or doesn't accept, it's business as usual for Liverpool, and then they'll proceed to continue to have him in their squad, including potentially for that Community Shield game.
Now, Ben, there's been some developments, as far as you know, in the relationship between Eddie Howe and Alexander Isak. It's not great news for Newcastle fans, is it?
No, but I think Eddie Howe made it clear in Sol that nobody, regardless of whether this ends positively or negatively from Newcastle's perspective, can just come back to training. So this feels like Eddie Howe backing up his words with actions. And Howe is on record as saying no player, if they refuse to train or go on a pre-season tour, can come straight back in. So I think this is a message from Eddie Howe, not necessarily saying we're forcing you out the club, but that if you're going to stay, there has to be a reintegration, or alternatively, if you're going to go, it might suit all parties to do it sooner rather than later. And the challenge is, of course, sooner rather than later suits Isak. It might suit Eddie Howe. It might suit the existing group. But does it suit Newcastle United's hierarchy? Yeah. Because they still need to find those replacements. And now it looks like Benjamin Sesko is off to Manchester United and not Newcastle. Is there still going to be a delay? And I think the next clue is the most important one, because it's one thing throwing a barbecue as Eddie Howe's done today, saying to the whole group and their families, come and celebrate, it's a brand new season, and then having Alexander Isak coming after that. But if it goes on to tomorrow and Friday, and then you start thinking about Premier League fixtures and planning for the first game of the season, then all signs will point towards an Isak exit. If after this message has been sent, a quick reintegration happens, then I think more likely what will happen is Newcastle will seek their replacements. Liverpool will have to wait a little bit, but there obviously is still a very realistic chance with Isak pushing to join Liverpool that he does end up at Anfield. It's purely about timing and ultimately whether Liverpool are prepared to go above that first £110 million offer, and how high, because we know Liverpool said 120, some say 130, but still Newcastle sources give this number of 150. So it's a fascinating saga, but there's definitely several twists and turns still to go.
Fantastic. So the idea of Alexander Isak turning up at the barbecue and everybody sort of looking at their shoes, not knowing what to say.
Very dramatic. Feels very EastEnders, doesn't it?
He rocks up like nothing's happened. Yeah, it's great. Brilliant, Ben. Thank you very much. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, guys.
There we are. It's all the latest in the transfer market. It looks like, he is training alone at the moment, and I mean, understandably, from Eddie Howe's point of view, he just wants to get on with it, doesn't he? Get on with the season and get players that want to be there playing for the team. It's difficult.
I mean, realistically, I don't know how there can be a way back for Isak at Newcastle. No. Really?
I mean, remember years and years ago, we kept hearing about Wayne Rooney at Manchester United. He wants out. It's done. There's no way. And then he signed a new contract. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but you know what football's like. Anything could happen still. Transfer Insiders tonight with Max Scott and Rory Jennings, and the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy and Bayo Akinfenwa. Before that, though, and coming up next this afternoon, it's Natalie Sawyer and Gabby Agbon-Lahore. They're going to bring you Drive. Alex, you're back tomorrow with me, aren't you?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Alex with us tomorrow. Plenty to get stuck into, I'm sure. And we'll continue building up the return of the Championship. Lots more besides. And we will catch up with you then. But yeah, Drive with Natalie and Gabby next.